to see you, Brandy.
It's good to see you too. I am over here pressing buttons and didn't. So I'm sure when I came on the screen, I'm like looking at my stuff like this. That's okay. I'm getting the feed pulled up. So, um, good morning.
Good morning. Are you tired too?
Oh my gosh, I am so exhausted. So exhausted. But let me share my screen real quick and I will show you part of why I'm exhausted. And this is part of my OCD and uh, ADHD, but it ends up working out in our favor. Um, I will
Well, we
show
we love
you.
that for us.
Love that for us. Oh, I can't add. It won't let me add it to the show. There we go.
Ta-da.
This is part of why I'm so tired. I stayed up really late working on this. Um, because there's going to be so many days and there's so many people. So I have our little like this is every day, and then there's a link for the video, the date, and then who testifies and their what they say, the pictures that are shown. So it's like a reference guide for the whole trial.
Oh, wow.
And
That I love that.
it's taken, and I put like the maps when they are talking about how they're driving and stuff so we can follow along. So I've been working on this because it helps me organize everything so that I can break everything down for the podcast.
Yeah.
But
That-
it takes a while.
let's see. Can you zoom in on it a little bit so we can see it? Because I have an entire legal pad of notes already on this trial, and I go back to read my notes, and they're indecipherable. I'm like, it's too dark down here. I have no idea. It's chicken scratch. I go back and then when I get so excited about testimony, I forget to take notes. So then I have a hard time remembering what Flamati said because, in my opinion,
Yeah.
he burned this thing to the ground, him and Saraf. So it's like every day when you just think, in my opinion, it couldn't get any worse, it gets worse for,
Yeah.
in my eyes, the prosecution.
Yeah.
What do you
Well,
say?
I've done the same thing, and there's things that I pick up on when I go back and I'll, load the transcripts, and I'll sit there and I'll go through the transcripts and I'll read. And there are things that I pick up on in that, because I always say the devil's in the details, but you know how it is too when you're interacting with your people and you're, excited to see everybody and you're experiencing all this together. So you're going to miss things anyway. But there's a couple things, openings. Let's see. There was, what was it from yesterday? I think that there was something that I noticed when I was going through this stuff, that I was like, oh, I didn't pick up on that the first time. I
Mm-hmm.
think it was, oh, yeah, Mulaney had said, and you may have picked up on this, but Mulaney had said that there was never any point in time that he saw Jen and Karen Reed in the car together. The whole story was that they were in the car together. They, said a prayer, and she, screamed for her to Google how long to die in the cold. And so Mulaney said that, he was out and about that whole time, and that there was never a point in time when they were in the car together. That was something that I did not pick up on the first time when we were watching things.
That's interesting because is that what Jen testified to in one of her 1,000 statements? Is that's when they did the Our Father and
Yeah.
she was screaming how long to die in cold was in a car? Because I,
Yeah.
I guess I was under the impression that she did that outside allegedly.
All
And
of
in,
that, it depends on which statement you go by, honestly, because they're all so different. And I
yes.
mean, it's literally like you're looking at, four different versions of events, 5, 7, 12 versions of events for every single, you know, statement that's attributed to Jen McCabe. And
Right.
but the one that she specifies that, it's, I don't remember which statement it was and to who. I have it in my notes somewhere, but she said that they had gotten in the car, and because she was hysterical, and they were praying, and that
Well,
they said our Father prayer, whatever. And then she said how long to die. So that was interesting. That was something I picked up on. But there's a few things like that. But
what I thought
yeah,
was interesting yesterday with Katie McLaughlin's direct testimony is that she said that when she heard a Karen say, "I hit him," and when she testified, it sounded to me like she was testifying in question form. That Katie,
Mm-hmm.
her inflection was like, "I hit him," and I
Yeah.
played it back 3 or 4 times because I do that. I stop and I like rewind, and I'm like, "We got to hear that again." It sounded to me like when Katie was testifying, tell me if you think I'm wrong. She said, "I hit him," and she said it like twice that way. And
Yeah.
so she also said there was an officer standing there. So I think, did she say I didn't think to write it in the report because there was an officer standing there and I thought he heard it?
I can't remember exactly how she worded, but yeah, she said that there was an officer there, and then she said something about go get Sergeant Good or whatever.
She said Goody. She called him Goody, which I thought
Oh,
was
goody.
interesting. But
Oh,
so is that his nickname? You know how everyone, all right, all my Irish Boston friends, everybody has a friend who named Sully, right? And that's not his name, it's Sully. So do they call him Goody? And was she like calling him by his nickname? Because I know it's pronounced good. It's
if she's
Goode.
calling him by the nickname in court, that's a little bit. I mean, uh,
Well,
not.
some of the witnesses refer to Jennifer McCabe as Jen, and it's kind of like, why would you it's like people calling me Mel that don't know me, it's kind of like a
Yeah,
nickname. So why are some of these law enforcement and fire department people calling her Jen when they're referring to her in testimony? I thought that was odd.
yeah. There's been so many things about this trial that have been
Oh, but the
that
one
have
other thing,
been.
that thing, so we both have ADHD, so it's like we have to keep, it's not like I'm interrupting you. It's like I forget what I'm going to say. So if I don't say it, the other thing
Oh,
I
it's
noticed
okay.
was Katie McLaughlin specifically saying, well, there was another officer around when she said it. So I just, I think she said something like, I didn't write it in her report. We're going to see that in the precision, the surgeon like cross examination that we're going to see coming up next. But um, what I thought was so interesting about that is that later around 9 a.m., Jen McCabe calls either Proctor or Lank, one of them, to come back and add something to her statement.
Yeah,
Do you remember that? And
yeah,
that's what she added. She said, well, I wanted you to know. I mean, I know there were officers around, so I thought they wrote it in their report, but I wanted you to know that she said, I hit him. I hit him. Did I hit him? Or I hit him. I think she's going to just say, I hit him.
yeah.
But
Oh,
kind of interesting. Like Katie says, oh, there was an officer around. And then
yeah,
Jen calls back and says, well, I know there were officers around and I don't know if they heard it. I want to make sure it's in the statement.
yeah.
Did they
Uh,
coordinate? I don't know.
Rick James said that he went to high school with Sergeant Good, and his nickname was Goody. So that is his nickname.
There you go. There you go. So why is Katie McLaughlin, who's a new firefighter, referring to, is he a sergeant good,
Um,
as by his high school nickname?
I mean,
The relationships, the family roots, or the family tree of Canton, the roots are very twisted.
it
Everybody knows
is.
everybody.
It is. And and I get that, like, because I'm from a small town, and everybody has, like, I will see, somebody's granny in the store. Like, I mean, you know everybody and
Mhm.
their mama and their hairdresser and their dog walker. So I get that. Um, but because I get that, I also get how, you know, I see the people they're saying, like, oh, well, they were in a wedding 20 years ago. Okay, what that means is that there are, it doesn't mean that you were friends 20 years ago. It means that you are down home 20 years of connection.
G-
It's,
Generational friends.
yeah,
The
it's very
parents are
different.
friends. The cousins
Yeah.
are friends. And what I'm going to find really interesting now is that of course they have photos of Katie McLaughlin and Caitlyn Albert together. They're besties. I mean, they have pictures of them hugging and drinking. And people have sent me pictures from Facebook and other places of the two of them together.
Yeah.
How is she possibly going to say, I didn't know Jen McCabe? You imagine if she's best friends, she goes to family functions, communions, confirmations, birthday parties, whatever. She's
Yeah.
absolutely met her best friend's mother's sister. They live in the same town. It's
Yeah.
not like her aunt or Caitlin's aunt who lives, on the other coast that she may have never met. So
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of things that are going to have to be explained. I'll tell you too, like, I think that this is going to be one of the most interesting cross examinations that we've seen so far, because I am curious if they are going to bring up, you know, how he's going to bring up any kind of, ties to the family, and or how he's going to bring up anything. So I'll be real curious to.
yeah. Good morning, Kurt from Uncivil Law. Do you know Kurt, Brandy?
Hello, I don't think so.
Welcome to Kurt. Kurt has a channel called Uncivil Law where he helps us learn from the misfortunes of others, as he likes to say. And he's a constitutional law expert. So if you have any questions, anyone, of constitutional law, go see Kurt.
I will.
What's
Welcome.
with our volume levels? Are our volume levels bad? I'm letting Brandy control the volume levels because she has much fancier
are mine?
equipment than I do. I don't know. I don't know if it's, we're trying to, Brandy's going to run the court feed today for us. So hopefully she can modulate that a little better than I can without my, my team of people that I don't have.
I have my mic. I can turn it up a little bit if it's too.
Oh, I don't know what he was referring to, but I think sometimes when I play the court feed and then I talk, it's like I'm blowing people's eardrums out because first of all, Lally doesn't know where the microphone is. But I think partially he's doing that on purpose because he knows that what he has to say is not going to wow anyone. So that's my personal opinion.
I turned my mic up if that's too loud, and if now it's like, like Brandy all up in your ear, tell me and I can turn it back down. Lally was that was the hardest opening to decipher for the podcast. It was so difficult to go through his mess, and
you're being kind.
Oh, it was so bad. It was so
a
bad.
mishigas. It was scattered. It was dispassionate. It was almost like he didn't even believe what he was saying. He had no conviction. And at the points in time where he said the most important parts of their case, which is, and we heard her say, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him. And then 3 years later or 2 years later, we were in court and then everyone knew everyone. He brought in, somebody said you counted how many characters he brought in during the opening.
Yeah, 76.
76.
Yeah. So, which the problem with that is that he spoke for 38 minutes. So 76. So he is literally introducing a new name to the jury every 30 seconds for 38 minutes straight. How are they going to keep up with that? And, any of the things that he had that stood out that were new got lost, because it's like how like when you fry some chicken and then you put some hot sauce on it, but you accidentally put too much hot sauce. Any flavoring that you could have had and been excited about is gone because all you taste is hot sauce. That's how his stuff was. His, it completely just burned out anything else that could have happened. You missed it. The only thing that, when I went back to decipher it, the only thing that I still need to turn my mic up more. Dang.
I don't know. I have mine set on auto on my StreamYard settings. Let me see. Automatically adjust mic volume. I don't know.
So loud.
That's the way you do it.
So like the only thing that I really heard that was different or new, I guess, from him was he said that there's video of Karen leaving 34 Fairview that night from that temple where they had gotten the video, which we knew that they had video from the temple, but the only video times that we had were on the way there and, then later in the morning, like 5 whatever in the morning. But there has never been any mention of her leaving Fairview. So that was something that was new.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed that there was, the way he worded the whole thing about the Bodhi labs and the mitochondrial DNA testing and everything, it wasn't like, oh, this is a match. It said the way he worded it was very,
consistent
she will tell you that her opinion is that this is consistent with this, which is, it is what it is. I mean, if it's a hair, I mean, he was in the car that night. We know that he was, around the car that night. The jury will have to put whatever weight they want on that. But it's just kind of funny that we spent so long waiting on this, and it finally, and so many, I mean, they've been arguing over this for so long, and now it finally comes in, and it's a very vague,
Very vague. And didn't their own lab say that it was not, confirm that it was not human hair? Didn't the MSP lab say it was not?
They said that there's no human DNA detected. And so, and I know that Lally was saying, well, that doesn't mean it's not a human hair. It means that there's no human DNA. He said in one of the hearings that there's not enough of a sample for them to do the testing on. But I went back and read the reports, and they specifically said that they, oh well, you have to have the root, but he specifically said in there that they submitted the root end for evaluation for testing. So when they did the nuclear DNA, looking for the regular DNA, the ladder DNA is what I call it. When they said that there was no human DNA detected, the reports specifically say that they submitted the root end of the hair for that. So that's why, if they submitted the root end and didn't find any DNA, then that's why it was so questionable, and why Yannetti was saying it's not human hair. So
And I think that they will have excellent fodder for cross-examination. Mia wants to know, what's the name of your podcast? Tell everyone what it's called and where they can find it.
Oh, yes. It is 13th Juror Podcast, and the whole second season is done on this case. I've been deep diving in this for about 9 months now, and so season 2 is it's called Conspiracy in Canton, but it's 13th Juror Podcast, but season 2 is hey. Hey, sassy.
13. And so where people can find it? Where? Spotify?
Everywhere. It's got Spotify, Apple Podcast. I've got it in a playlist on my YouTube channel as well. So but if you look up 13th Juror Podcast, it's on there. So
it's on YouTube too, right? Yeah. So what number are you up to? I remember last time I checked, you were in what are you up to?
I think it was like 22
in true crime?
In true crime in the US. I have not checked it today. It's been fluctuated kind of between like 22 to 32, kind of like, depending on the day. So but everyone go watch it, and then go on Apple and leave a really good review on Apple Podcasts, right? Is that where they have to go do it? Apple Podcasts? It's funny because some of the people that have left me, most of the reviews have been really good, but some of the people that have left bad reviews, it's people that will post something like give me a review and then go to Twitter and say the same thing to me on there. So I know that it's the people who are, just don't like,
girl, get off the cesspool of Twitter. Nothing good comes from Twitter. Uncivil. What, if any, consistency did the hair have? Thank you for your super chat. I made a new emoji last night for my members. Guys, put some what if any emojis in the chat. What if any?
Did you see our lally tally?
No.
Oh my gosh. No, you're not on Twitter. Hold on. Let me pull up our lally tally, and I will show you.
Hilarious.
Oh my gosh, we had so Marie Moss, one of our members, is fantastic, and she counts things for us because she's just great like that.
Oh, that's awesome.
So we made a lally tally. So we have a running count. He has said it to date 240 times.
Wow. Can we count in there also if he says what if anything? So if it's any version thereof.
Yeah. What if any, who if anyone, any of the variations of that. So far we are up to 240. That's
a lot. People are really annoyed also about all of the heavy breathing into the judge's mic. So I made a sigh emoji for that one because it's like the heavy sighing. And I'm wondering if people that are sitting in the courtroom can hear it as loudly as we can at home with headphones on and earbuds. Because it's sort of like a little bit prejudicial depending on who she's heavy sighing about, who's talking when she's heavy sighing, I think.
I feel like they have to hear it because if we hear it, our fan is up. Let me boost our volume real quick and get all that goodness done. And then I'll give us our fan to look at.
It's kind of nauseating, that fan. Somebody said they went into Court TV's stream and they asked if they could not focus on the fan. Why could they focus on a clock or something?
I know. Normally we'll get like the state seal or something, and but not around here. Around here we get the fan. Great for sleeping, not great for TV.
I think this is on your stream. I think we're getting dual comments, which I think is good. Prestige Worldwide, thanks for your super chat. Karen Reed cracked her taillight at home before finding JK. You mean J.O.? John O'Keefe? Does this mean the Karen hit him was devised on the spot? If yes, what do you believe the OG plan to pin the murder on Karen might have been? What are your thoughts?
You know, I've heard multiple theories on this. One of the things that I heard was that it was originally going to be the plow. Because that was one of the first things that was said is that she had called and said, did a plow hit him or something like
Right.
that. So, uh, and when I say that's one of the first things it said, according to the documents that weren't recorded, weren't documented, weren't signed, and were mostly submitted, weeks later. So we don't
Right.
really, we have our documents, but we don't really know what has actually been said at any point in time.
Well, she admitted to saying, "Did I hit him?"
Yeah,
on Nightline or whatever, and she said it was a question. It was preceded by "did" and "did I hit him?" like as in a question.
yeah,
Let's just say that when she called Jen McCabe early in the morning, and Jen was like, he never made it in. I wonder if he got hit or something. He tried to. I'll call him and got hit. Now it's in her head, right? And she's already in shock. She's freaking out.
yeah,
And obviously, when she gets to the scene and she sees his body on the last thing she's going to think of is that something else happened to him. That's where she left him.
yeah,
And now she's maybe thinking like, did I hit him? Like, and maybe it's already been planted. Hey, I wonder if you hit him when you left him.
yeah. I think that there's so much going on in that moment that she's hysterical. She's, emotional. She's confused. She doesn't have any idea what's going on. And, you know, I, and I said this yesterday, she may have said it. She may have, I honestly don't think that she remembers what she said. So I, I feel like to get the better, gauge of what was actually said, go by the most consistency. And the most consistency is the ones who were there that morning all said that she was screaming, "Is he dead? Is he dead? Oh my gosh."
Right.
All of the reports say that. But the only one in that original report, well, the original report doesn't say anything about did I hit him? It just says, doesn't say I hit him. It said, did I hit him? But there's, the I hit him wasn't added until later. So it's kind of the story has evolved, as statements have come out. But the thing about yesterday when she said that statement was made in front of an officer, I pulled all of the officers, I clipped them and put all of them together in a, exactly what the officers said that she said. And they all said the same thing, that she was screaming, "Is he dead?"
Is he dead?
But
Right.
not one of them heard that.
In fact, one of them testified yesterday, or the days are blending together. I think it was the young one, Matthew Kelly. I think he said, "Is he alive?" was her question. Is he
Yeah,
alive? Is he alive? Not
yeah.
even is he dead. So here's a question for you. I don't know who this person is, Julie Carpenter, but this one's for you.
Love your podcast. What was your relationship with Julie Carpenter prior to the Karen Reed case? She's horrible to you on Twitter. Yeah. Before the Karen Reed case, we were friends.
And like
And
real life friends or like Twitter, like
like
Twitter friends?
Twitter friends, but there's a group of us that have, been really close since Murdoch, and she was one of them. So she was a Twitter friend, but I definitely considered her a friend before this.
Yeah, I never really was on Twitter. I think I had an old account where I was posting like pictures with the New York Rangers from like 2013 or 14 or something. And then when this case happened, people found it and I was never really using it. And they started tagging me in all these hateful posts. So I was just like, I don't need this added drama in my life. I just quit. And they think they
Yeah.
scared me off of Twitter, which is the funny thing. So
Yeah.
it's like,
They did not
wow,
scare you off Twitter because you messaged me and you were like, "This is ridiculous. I ain't getting in all
I'm out.
that."
I'm out
So
of here. I
yeah.
am out of here. I was going to ask you this too, because I know you followed Murdoch as well.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering because they went on that field trip to Moselle with Miss Becky. And
Hmm.
did Alec go on the field trip? I don't did he? I don't
I
think
don't
so.
th- I don't think he did. No, I don't think
Because people are
so.
saying, why isn't Karen allowed to go? And the judge made that order. And I
Hmm.
think it's better. Listen, people are already crucifying her on social media for her facial expressions.
Yeah.
So if she did go on this site view with them, they'd be picking apart potentially every place she looks, what she says, what she does, if she's crying. Like it's better, I think, that she's not going to be there. And
Yeah.
I think it's better for the case. I think it's better for everyone.
Yeah. Less chance for anything, you know, the less you give them to holler about, the better in this situation. And I do notice that they pick her apart a lot on her facial expressions. And, you know, it started out with like, oh, she, you know, she has RBF and she always looks so angry. And then, you know, so then she tries to kind of soften up her, you know, face a little bit. And then she's like, you know, trying to smile and stuff. And it's like, why is she smirking? You know, it's, there are the people who, before trial has started and before evidence has come out, they have decided she is going to be guilty and they are going to fight for her guilt, you know, in social media world, because they apparently that matters. And no matter what she does or doesn't do, they will find fault with it. So,
oh yeah, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. She's smiling too much. She's not. Now they're coming after her because she wore a skirt one day. I noticed she wore pants the entire time. The one day she wore a very fashionable outfit. She was not only crucified, but JC, as I call her, who is not Jesus Christ, tweeted this hateful tweet about who does she think she's dressed for? She's going to court. She's got this short skirt on. Who does she think she is? I couldn't believe it. This is a person which, according to the Norfolk County DA's office, has a huge Twitter reach. And I thought, really, you're coming after a woman? And I noticed a pattern in this person's tweets for coming after successful women. She trashes me on Twitter all the time for having an opinion. Me too.
Yeah.
For being, when I went on court TV with her, you know, pursuing the dog bite theory, like, doesn't this look like a dog attack on his arm? And she was, you know, everyone without a PhD thinks they can opine on what these injuries are. And then everyone started saying, oh, they abandoned that dog theory. You know, they're all into that. But no, they didn't.
Yeah. You know, she is real big on that. Like, she did the same thing to me and told me that, or she was posted on Twitter that, because people kept tagging me in all of her stuff. Like, she would post something, then people would tag me like, Brandy, you know, Brandy has the documents, Brandy has the receipts for this, Brandy, you know, and so they'll take my posts and put them in her, and that made her really mad. And so she said something about how I'm not even a good podcaster, but then she said that she had never heard of my podcast, and then she said that I don't have credentials, so I can't be, you know, you can't listen to me or whatever. And I was like, you know, who else doesn't have credentials that's going to be judging this evidence? The jurors. So, you know.
Yes, exactly. And, you know, people who women who attack other women, I mean, there's a special place in hell for them. Matt Bond, thank you. He says court has an OnlyFans. Thanks, Matt. Matt's watching from Australia. Thanks so much for tuning in this morning. Miss Bell, nice. What do you think about only certain first responders hearing it? What are the EMTs worth if they talk about it daily at the station?
This is a big thing for me too, because I said on my stream when we were watching, like, you know, because the first thing that everybody's going to say is like, oh, so what? All of them are in on it too. My personal opinion is, as soon as Nuttall said that they talk about this often, it is a psychological fact that memories will alter and change over time, especially if you are discussing them regularly with other people, because they will give their, you know, their memories and they're part of it, and you know, it starts to fill in holes, you know, and make a bigger picture. So then all of a sudden your memories become this bigger picture instead of just what you experienced. It is a psychological fact that this happens. And as soon as he said that they were discussing this all the time, I was like, oh, well, there you go. Like, I don't think that they're intentionally, you know, coming up here and, you know, necessarily lying. I think that this has been over 2 years ago. They talk about it and their memories
all
are
the time. In fact, I forget who was crossing him. Was it Alan Jackson? Said, so you talk about it daily, right? And then the judge, I think, cut him off and wouldn't let him ask that. But yeah, they probably do talk about it daily. The trial's coming up. Thanks, Miss Bell. And that can and he also was absolutely 100% convinced that he was wearing a puffy jacket.
Yeah.
I made a puffy jacket emoji for that.
Yeah, I mean, it's another example of, you know, and he wouldn't have lied about that because it has nothing to do with anything. So it's
Right.
just the perfect example. And Jackson is a skillful lawyer. The way that he picked up on the puffy jacket and he kept repeating it to make sure that the jury was hearing this. Okay, so then when you cut the jacket off, and tell me again about this jacket, like making sure that that was getting hammered in, you
Hmm.
know, to show the jury. It was the perfect example to give the jury of like you can have a credible witness with memories that aren't accurate. It's just going to happen.
But doesn't it beg the question also whether there was a puffy jacket that somebody put on him? Let's say, just if for instance, he went in the house and grabbed a jacket, or somebody gave him a jacket, or and then that jacket had to disappear because there were no, let's say, maybe perhaps bite marks on the outside of the jacket because he was dressed in it after. And then somebody realized that and got rid of it. Like that is also something that a juror might be thinking, like, oh, wait, there was this puffy jacket. Then they're going to start, introducing the clothing into evidence. Then they're gonna be like, okay, where's the puffy jacket? Like, we
Yeah.
know so much more about this case than the jurors do. And
Right.
even just because we know it wasn't logged into evidence doesn't mean he didn't have a jacket on.
That's true.
So nobody also saw the phone underneath him. All of these first responders have said they pulled him, they scooped him, they put him on the scoop stretcher. Not one person mentioned seeing a phone. Lally tried to get it in. Did you see anything under the body? And every single person was like, no.
He tried so hard. He tried so hard. He tried to get the grass thing in too. There was one witness. I noticed this when I was, let me search the word grass because I don't remember who it was. But there was one witness where he was trying so hard to get that, to get that in.
And also that they saw grass underneath. And they keep
Yeah.
showing these pictures of the front of 34 Fairview with covered in snow. So it's not helping them. These pictures with no foundation of the front of the house. And then there's like a close up with what looks like blood and some footprints. There's no indication that a body was ever there. They don't have any photos of the body being there because they lost the iPhone that the pictures were taken on. The whole thing is sus, in my opinion. So my opinions are mine. Brandy's opinions are Brandy's. We are not conflating our opinions, but I think we agree on certain things.
Yeah.
Uncivil, thanks. I've been shipping a love affair between the fan and fire alarm on stream, but it seems Doorhead Jam has become an interloper. Oh, look at that. Yeah. The Doorhead Jam is trying to bust into the relationship. Oh, here they come. Do you mind?
Welcome to Zoom for Government. And
I wonder how many signs I get today.
Do you mind if we pause during the stream to talk about stuff?
Nope.
Okay.
We always catch up anyway. So
enter your participant ID. Please enter the meeting passcode followed by pound.
oh, and there they go.
You have joined the meeting as an attendee and will be muted throughout the meeting.
Audio.
The dream team together again. Love y'all.
The host.
Can you hear that?
You are unmuted.
I can hear it.
Oh, why can't I hear it? Oh, because there we go. I had my computer set to AirPods. That's why.
AirPods? Oh.
Yeah.
Damn settings. I can't hear it now, but I don't know if there's any audio. Oh, I can't hear it. Brandy, can you hear it? Brandy, can you guys hear it? Nobody can hear it.
Okay, there it goes.
No, I still don't hear it. No audio on my end.
You don't have audio?
Nope.
Good morning, jurors. I have to ask you those same 3 questions. Were you able to follow the instructions and refrain from discussing this case with any?
That just went out again.
You can't hear it.
I did for a second.
Instructions and refrain from doing any independent research or investigation into this case. Everyone said yes or nodded affirmatively. Did anyone happen to see, hear, or read anything about this case since we left yesterday?
Where are my AirPods?
Everyone said no or shook their hands. So while you bring your witness in, Mr. Lally, I'd like to see counsel at sidebar for a brief minute. But they
Stop pressing buttons. Oh, you know what? I'll pull it up on my end, maybe. Because I can't hear your audio.
It paused for some reason. Can you hear? Oh, there's. What is happening?
I don't know. Let me pull it up on Court TV. Because Court TV has it on. Let me pull that up. We'll take it from the top.
Enter your participant ID. Please enter the meeting passcode followed by pound. You have joined the meeting as an attendee and will be muted throughout the meeting. The host, you are unmuted.
Commonwealth first is Karen Reed. Can I have counsel identify themselves for the record?
Adam Lally for the Commonwealth. Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning, Mr. Lally.
Good morning, Your Honor. Laura McLaughlin for the Commonwealth.
Good morning, Ms. McLaughlin.
Good morning, Your Honor. Alan Jackson from the street.
Good morning, Mr. Jackson.
Your Honor, Elizabeth Little, also on behalf of Ms. Reed.
Good morning, Ms. Little.
Good morning, Judge David Yannetti for Karen Reed.
Good morning, Mr. Yannetti. Good morning, Ms. Reed. Good morning, jurors.
I have to ask you those same three questions. Were you able to follow the instructions and refrain from discussing this case with anyone since we left here yesterday? Everyone said yes or nodded affirmatively. Were you also able to follow the instructions and refrain from doing any independent research or investigation into this case?
Yes.
Everyone said yes or nodded affirmatively. Did anyone happen to see, hear, or read anything about this case since we left yesterday? Everyone said no or shook their hands. So while you bring your witness in, Mr. Lally, I'd like to see counsel at sidebar for a brief minute.
Look at how Karen looks very tired. For people, a lot of people don't know about her medical conditions. She's got MS. She was diagnosed with a brain tumor. She had many abdominal surgeries. She has almost her entire colon removed. So when people are talking about, the smirks on her face, she could be in pain.
Yeah.
That's her. That is John O'Keefe's dad. He's here today, sitting next to Paul O'Keefe. I'm going to catch us up a little bit. I thought Paul and Aaron were both very helpful witnesses for the defense, in my opinion.
Yeah, it was nice to hear them talk about how much they liked Karen and how, he was very appreciative of what she had done and hearing how, she jumped right in immediately and helped with the kids and stuff. I thought that was
right. And she was so generous with the kids.
Mm-hmm.
And, if buying the niece an iced coffee on the way to school was what triggered her to want to commit murder, she wasn't mad about it. He was. Like, the whole thing just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And there's Karen's parents. And I think some friends or family members. I was watching yesterday something too. I was watching Vinnie Politan does a podcast on YouTube also. And he had two guys on, and the two guys that she usually does his podcast with, I don't know who they are or what their names are, but one of the gentlemen was so, I think the whole thing is ridiculous. He just doesn't come home, and she's all freaking out that he didn't come home, and who does that? And why wouldn't she just assume that he slept over a buddy's house or that he passed out somewhere? And I didn't obviously comment or get into it with the people that were in that chat, but he never stayed out all night without coming home for those kids. And I would be in a panic too. He would never have crashed at Albert's. He wasn't good friends with them.
Yeah. And she had said, too, that he was definitely going to come home because, his niece was there, and that, she knew that he wasn't going to be staying out all night because of that too. So I understand why, she's getting panicked and worried, and
right.
I don't think that anybody can really say how you would act in that situation or what you would do or what you would think.
Right.
So I think people are very hard on her about, everything. The whole, and this is one of my things too, like there's, if at bare minimum, there's reasonable doubt. So why not just, give her the benefit of the doubt that we're supposed to give her as we're going through trial and, see what comes out. But that's not how.
Yeah. show some grace. Trish says he never had not come home before, and that's true. I think the one night he stayed out was when they were on vacation in the hotel. He stayed out until something like 3 a.m. And yeah, Jason, yeah. So that's interesting. Jason watched it too. I was just so taken aback by that. It's like, I don't know, I just feel like everybody wants to attack successful women. And it's like, can we let this woman have a little bit of grace with everything that she's been going through? She hasn't had a chance to grieve at all. And some people worry more than others. And I thought I would worry too if it was something that was out of the ordinary, that had never happened before. And there was a blizzard.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there was a blizzard that, she doesn't know where he's at. Like the niece is there. It said that she woke up the niece, asking if she had heard from him. We know that she drove to Waterfall before she went out there looking for him, and she's seen on video, going to Waterfall first. And that was one of the things I said too. Like, if she was like, oh, you know what, I showed him, he's laying in the yard of, these other police officers, like,
right.
She wouldn't have gone to Waterfall looking for him. So I think, she was hysterical and didn't know where he was and was worried.
And she didn't know how to get there, because from what we know, right, John had to call at least once or twice to get directions. And also, wasn't it on his Waze, on his phone, the way they got there? It wasn't like she put it into her GPS. So I don't think she would have known how to find that place.
Yeah, it was on his Waze that they found it at that night. And then the reverse thing too. Did you see, speaking of Vinny, a couple nights ago, he did a reenactment of he couldn't get the car to 24 miles an hour in reverse, but he did like 4 miles an hour in reverse and then sped it up 6 times so that you could see how fast it would be. And it's going crazy fast. And I noticed too that Lally has brought up the hill multiple times. So I think that's how he's going to try to explain the 24 miles an hour. But one of my members lives in the area. She just said that she went by and recorded, like, to show exactly what it looks like. So I think that's where he's going with that.
Here they have the car is at 34 Fairview right now with the taillight removed. Thanks, Barry Raven.
Whenever you're ready, Mr. Lally.
Thank you, Your Honor. Now, I have a few more questions for you. So, turn your attention to the period of time you testified about yesterday when you're at Mr. O'Keefe is in the back of the ambulance. With respect to his clothing, what, if any, observations did you make in regard to that clothing?
He had, in terms of what he was wearing.
First, in terms of what he was wearing.
He was wearing jeans. He had on a dark colored light zip up jacket. And I noticed one sneaker.
Now, with regard to that clothing, what, if any, observations did you make in regard to the condition of that clothing?
It was soaked through.
As far as tears or holes or anything else with
Oh no, with the leading questions. No.
I didn't see any.
So the arm wasn't shredded.
Ms. Gilman, if I could have exhibit number 18.
I wish he would use a mic.
I know.
May I approach the witness, John?
Yes.
And this is the first I've heard about a zip up jacket.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I know you can't hear Lally. That's why I put the closed captions on, you guys. Hopefully they're accurate. He doesn't like to use a mic.
Firefighter McLaughlin, do you recognize what's up on the screen as Exhibit 18?
Do I
You
recognize
recognize what it is?
what it is?
Yes.
Yes.
And what do you recognize it to be?
The address of the call, 34 Fairview Road.
Now, with respect to this photograph, do you observe within it or where Mr. O'Keefe was on the ground when you first arrived?
From this angle, no, I don't.
And if you could, if it's not on the photograph, is it off to the left, the right, or where would it be in relation to this photograph?
To the left, I would say.
And about how far off frame do you believe it was?
I'm not sure. So my view of the call was, my reference point wasn't a house on either side. The patient was off the road. So my view of this call was the patient was on the side of the road. The only thing that I noted was a fire hydrant. So in relation to, I know it was to the left of a house, but I'm not sure exactly how far left it would be from this picture, from this angle.
So your memory is to the left of the house near a fire hydrant, is that correct?
Yes.
Take that down. I have no further questions.
All right, cross-examination.
Oh, yeah.
Oh boy.
Welcome, Dr. Alan Jackson, the surgical master of cross-exam.
Good morning, Ms. McLaughlin.
Morning.
You responded to the call of an unresponsive male in the snow at 34 Fairview. That was the address you recall, correct?
Correct.
The house you just looked at, that is in fact 34 Fairview, right?
Correct.
As Mr. O'Keefe was being transported by ambulance, you were instructed by firefighter Flamati to get information about the victim from Karen Reed, correct?
He wasn't being transported by the ambulance at that time. He was on the stretcher. And Tony, who was at the head of the stretcher, asked me to get information from Miss Reed about the patient, but he wasn't being transported in the ambulance at that time.
Who's Tony?
Firefighter Flamati.
Got it. When you did, in fact, did you follow those directives?
I did.
When you finally approached Miss Reed in order to get that medical history as best you could, what did the scene look like? Who was with you or around you?
So they started to move the stretcher towards the ambulance. Miss Reed was sort of, I guess I would describe it as moving around the scene. So she was moving, kind of going in circles. So I was really just focused on her, trying to get her to converse with me and get those questions. So that I wasn't really noticing anything else at that point. I was more just trying to contact her, and she was moving around.
What were you wearing at the time?
I had my like winter fire jacket on.
What color is it?
It's yellow and red.
Bright yellow for safety purposes.
Yes.
When you began your actual questioning, once everybody sort of stood still, you began your questioning of Miss Reed. You were standing in one spot. Miss Reed was standing to your right. Is that right?
Well, the questioning started, as I said, she was moving around the scene. So the questioning was ongoing as she was moving around to different locations. I don't know exactly how many of the questions I got out during the time that she was moving around. At one point, we did come to a stop. And at that point, she was to my right.
That's the point I want to focus your attention on, if I could. When you came to a stop, that's the point at which you recall the statement being made that you attribute to my client.
Yes.
Okay. And in that group, who was there? I want to make sure I understand this exactly.
So there was Miss Reed to my right. There was a civilian woman to my left. There was a police officer who was not directly across from me, but I would say maybe diagonal to me, closer to Miss Reed.
Your Honor, I'm holding a photograph. This will be shown to the Commonwealth. May I approach?
Yes.
I'll show you, Ms. McLaughlin, a still photograph. I'm going to ask you to take a quick look at that photograph and look up after you've studied it for a second and tell me if you recognize people that are in that photograph.
I recognize people in it.
May I publish, Your Honor?
Yes. Is this an exhibit or are you moving to introduce it?
I'm moving to introduce it. It has not been introduced as yet.
Okay. So go ahead and have the witness adopt it first.
Sure. Do you see the person closest to frame? Closest to the camera?
Yes.
In what appears to be a yellow and red jacket.
Yes.
Who's that?
That would be me.
Who's to your right?
It appears to be Miss Reed,
And to your left?
a civilian woman,
And across, as you said, sort of diagonal, closer to Miss Reed is?
a police officer.
Do you know that officer's name, by the way?
I don't know his name.
Okay. Your Honor, with that, I would ask that this be marked as next in order.
Okay. Is there any objection?
No objection.
So we are going to remark these exhibits today because of the problems that I indicated at sidebar. How do you want to do this, Madam Reporter? I don't know where we start from.
What problems?
Maybe they
Tori,
had
how many are in evidence?
maybe some of them were numbered the same, and now they figured it out, and they got to uncover. They got to fix it, which they could just do like 10A, B, C,
Folks,
D.
it's my responsibility to make sure the record is intact. And you've heard numbers 1, 3, 309, 247. We need to straighten this out to make sure it's appropriate for you. You know what, Madam Clerk, just mark, Madam Court Reporter, just mark it as the next exhibit number, whatever in the hundreds that is, and we'll take care of this today. I don't want to waste your time, folks, while we do this, but it's very important that we do it. All right.
She's also been telling the jury she's going to teach them the law,
Right,
which
so
I've never heard.
there was any objection to that from the
Yeah,
Commonwealth?
that's her job to teach
No,
them
you're
the law.
Okay.
She needs to instruct them on the law, not
Yes.
teach it to them.
Ms. McLaughlin, this is the time or the scene that you told us about when you heard the statement that you've attributed to my client, correct?
Sorry, say that again?
Sure. This is a moment in time, it captures a moment in time when you're standing there. To your right is Karen Reed, which you've described. To your left is a civilian female, which you've described. And across from you is an officer, which you've also described.
Yes.
So this would be the time or close in time to the time that you heard the statement that you attribute to Ms. Reed, correct?
Yes.
The first time you ever made that official report, an official report to law enforcement regarding that statement was January 30th, 2022, correct?
Well, yes and no. The statement was made in front of the police officer, so that would technically be the first time that statement was made to a police officer in my presence. And then, yes, I testified to it on January 30th, as you said.
You said it on January 30th. You weren't testifying under oath, correct?
Okay. Said it.
Okay.
Yes.
My question was really, and I appreciate you clarifying, my question was really the first time you actually told this statement to any law enforcement officer was on January 30th.
Yes.
Okay, we can take that down. That was when you met with Trooper Michael Crockett, correct?
Yes.
Obviously, that was very close in time to the event. It was the next day. Is that right?
Yes.
The events were close.
The 29th. Yeah. So it would be the next day.
Right, 29th, 30th.
Yep.
Okay. The events were fresh in your mind at that time?
Yes.
You obviously knew about the importance of that interview. You knew that it dealt with a police officer who had passed?
I knew it was important to talk to the police about what I heard.
And you wanted to be accurate.
Yes.
You wanted to be as detailed as you possibly could.
Yes.
And you understand that memories, obviously, they get a little worse with time, not better with time, right?
Sure.
The closer in time you are to the event, the fresher your memory is going to be about the details of that event. You would agree with that, right?
Sure.
You told Trooper Proctor the day after the event, on January 30th, that the statement that you attribute to my client was actually made to the female, not to you in response to your questioning. That's what you told Trooper Proctor, correct?
I don't have those notes in front of me, so I don't know that I can tell you that that's correct, but the statement was made in response to my question. However, the Miss Reed was looking at the civilian woman as she said that.
Does it refresh your recollection that what
Don't read what you think refreshes a recollection. You can show or you
That
cannot
version.
read it. Yes.
take a look at the highlighted portions of that report and look up when you're finished.
She said I haven't looked at any of the notes. Did she take notes?
Okay.
May I?
Sure.
Your Honor, may I
Yes.
approach? Does that refresh your recollection about what you told Trooper Proctor on January 30th?
Yes.
And you told Trooper Proctor,
No,
quote,
let her,
in terms of-
hold on. I'll see it said.
What?
Ugh.
He's allowed to ask questions. You can't sandbag him like that.
I hate that she won't let them give their reasons for objections either. That drives me nuts.
I know. Every other trial that I've watched, I've never heard that before.
I've never heard that before either.
Some judges will look at you if you say objection and wait for you to state your grounds before they will even address it.
Yeah.
May I, Your Honor?
Yes.
In fact, what you told Trooper Proctor was, quote, Karen then turned to her friend and stated, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him. End quote. Correct?
Okay.
Is that yes?
Yes, if you're saying that's in quotation marks in the in that, then yes.
That's what's in the report.
Okay.
And you don't have to agree with me. I'm asking yes or no questions, not okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So in fact, what you told Trooper Proctor was that Karen Reed looked at the female to your left and said 4 times, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him, correct?
Yes.
And have you since learned that the name or identity of the female that was standing to your left?
No.
You're aware that the female that was standing to your left reported the exact same statement?
No.
Are you aware that the female standing to your left reported that exact same statement as, could I have hit him? Did I hit him? Did I hit him?
No, I'm not aware of that.
You then went back to the ambulance after you heard that statement that you believed you heard my client state.
Yes.
You opened the ambulance door, correct?
Yes.
That was the back door,
The side door.
the side door. And there were two firefighter paramedics in that ambulance at the time, correct?
I believe there were more than 2 at that time.
2 of them included firefighter Nuttall and firefighter Flamani.
Yes.
And at that point, you told them what you believed you had just heard.
So I went into the back of the ambulance. I said, this is his name. This is his date of birth. She says he doesn't have any medical history or allergies, doesn't take daily medications. And then I said, she's saying I hit him. And firefighter Nuttall motioned to his face and said something.
Objection, Your Honor.
Ask another question.
So the answer to my question is yes, you told in front of Flamati and Nuttall the phrase, I hit him.
Yes.
You didn't write that in any report?
I don't write a report in this scenario of my job.
Let her finish the answer, please.
No.
So there are 2 people that will write reports in my department on a call. one being the lead paramedic and the other being the officer who's on scene. So those are the people that write reports, and I was neither of those, so I did not write that in a report.
Okay.
That's correct.
So let me ask the question again. You didn't write it in any report?
No.
You didn't write it in any notes?
No.
You didn't document that statement in any way whatsoever, correct?
Other than my interview with Proctor and my subsequent testimony.
Proctor, she calls
You
him.
didn't document that statement in any way yourself, did you?
No.
Since January 30th, in that conversation that we just talked about with Trooper Proctor, your statement has evolved. Is that right?
Evolved.
I don't know how to answer that.
You testified yesterday to something quite different
Not quite different.
than what you testified, I'm sorry, than what you stated to Trooper Proctor.
Respectfully, I think my testimony has been pretty consistent.
You testified to something yesterday quite different in context than what you told Trooper Proctor. Isn't that right?
I don't know that that's right.
Well, you told Trooper Proctor, Karen Reed looked at a female standing to your left, said, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him. Right?
Yes.
Yesterday, you told these jurors that Karen Reed said, I hit him, and an officer said, you what? And she repeated, I hit him, and the officer immediately turned and went to find another sergeant. Is that right or no? Yes or no?
No, there was more to that testimony.
That's not what you said yesterday?
I think I said more than that, than what you just repeated.
Is what I said consistent with what you said yesterday? There's a lot of things that you said, more of. I'm asking, is that the sum and substance of what you told these jurors yesterday?
Yes.
So you would agree that from that time till yesterday, your story has evolved. It's changed.
Would I agree with that?
No.
I don't know that I agree with that.
You think the story that you told Trooper Proctor is exactly the same
I
story?
understand what you're saying. So I understand what you're saying.
So has your story evolved?
Okay. Yes.
Okay, I'm just going to pause this for a second to say this is not a good look. Ellen says he's trying to make her a hostile witness. I agree. This is not going to end well for her. She's being very argumentative.
Yeah. Yeah, you can tell that she's getting frustrated, and I'm sure he could pick up on that, and I'm sure he's excited about it too, because, as an attorney, I think he wants the jury to see that, that
she might have a personal stake in this, maybe. And I'm sure he is going to bring up the relationship with the girl who lives in that house, Caitlyn Albert. So hang on to your seats, folks.
Yeah.
Okay. Ms. McLaughlin, who's Caitlyn Albert?
I went to high school with somebody named Caitlyn Albert.
Somebody named Caitlyn Albert.
Somebody named Caitlyn Albert.
Oh, Lord,
I went to
here
high
we
school
go.
with somebody named Caitlyn Albert.
So do you know Caitlyn Albert?
I do.
You're friends with Caitlyn Albert?
I would say more acquaintances, not close friends.
How do you describe an acquaintance?
I would say that we have mutual friends, so we might see each other occasionally because of mutual friends, but we don't have a one-on-one friendship or hang out regularly.
Who's her dad?
I don't know.
Doesn't know her dad? Really?
Really?
Okay.
Do you know who her family is?
Objection.
Sustained.
No.
Yes.
No, absolutely goes to bias. He can ask all of these questions, her relationship with the person who lives in that house. That's ridiculous.
I don't understand why none of it gets allowed. None of it gets, I don't understand.
It all goes to bias. So the fact that he's allowed to, if she shuts him down on this, that's ridiculous. I went to high school with somebody named Caitlyn Albert. That's not, it was almost like she didn't expect that question when she should have been fully prepped on it, because anyone who's looked at any social media ever has seen the pictures.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, this is not, Canton's finest secret here that, they know each other and have spent time together. So though I'll say, I don't think that there's a whole lot of prep for any of them that has gone into this. Lally doesn't seem like look, I'm not an attorney. I just talk about him on YouTube. But to me, like, when you see such a stark contrast to, Jackson and Yannetti and how they just walk everything through. They are so in control of everything that's happening and so intentional with everything that's happening. And they put, the emphasis on the right words. They make sure if something comes out that they want to, that they make sure that they stick on it for a minute so the jury hears it too. And, it is such a stark contrast to the way that Lally handles things. So I don't know that there was, I don't know that he even did any kind of
I feel like if he prepped anybody, he should have prepped her because he knew. And I feel like it has to come in. It has to be allowed to come in. I went to high school with someone named Caitlyn Albert. Like, that was the most ridiculous statement possibly that we've heard so far.
Yeah. But see, this is part of why, the whole cover up and conspiracy thing kind of this is kind of part of what started it, because the only person in any of the reports that said that they heard that was her, and she has ties to the Alberts. So everybody else heard, up until recently, apparently, with memories changing, but everybody else heard, did I hit him? She was the only one. So I don't know. This case gets
I guess they're taking the jury out because everyone's standing.
Yeah.
Musica says, I feel like no one in this town has ever been challenged with anything. Challenged on anything. Dougal is there. Carl Dougal and his wife.
All right. Ms. McLaughlin, I'm going to let you step out for a few minutes, show them what you have, and let a court officer know when you're ready for me to come back out.
All rise for the court, please.
Oh, are we going to get to hear the argument on this?
I hope so. I'm too nosy for them to shut me out of all the side boss.
Don't we usually get to hear them? What's the most recent trial that you got to hear them on? I'm trying to think. I remember I was watching the Maya Kowalski trial, and Recovery Addict, I think, had the Zoom feed, and on the Zoom feed you could hear what they were talking about at sidebar for a while until they started using that white noise machine.
Well, see, I hate the white noise machines. All of the stuff, even when you can't hear the sidebars, even when you can't hear the sidebars, at least they'll let you hear the arguments outside, and like even before court and all of that. And this one is very, very limited. This one's very like, you can only, not as the jury's coming in, not before, not any of that. You don't get to see anything until they're, in there and situated.
I'm going to keep the fan on my second screen, so when they come back, I'll turn it back on. But I know that it makes a lot of people nauseous. So if you were just tuning in, all 4,145 of you, hit the like button for the two blondies that are going to get you through this morning, this painful morning. The jury has just been excused because Alan Jackson has just brought up the fact that the witness currently on the stand, firefighter Katie McLaughlin from Canton Fire Department, knows Caitlyn Albert, who is the daughter of Brian and Nicole Albert, who lives at 34 Fairview. And when he confronted her about that and said, "Do you know Caitlyn Albert?" She said, "Well, I went to high school with a girl named Caitlyn Albert," and she's trying to minimize her relationship right out the gate. And then I think Jackson was going to show her a picture or something. And they need to argue it in front of her. So they let the jury go. And we are sitting here watching a fan. That makes a lot of people nauseous.
It does make a lot of people nauseous. I want this to come in because I feel like it's important. I feel like it does go to the bias. I feel like this is something that the jury needs to know so that they can decide if it's important or not. They can decide the weight on it,
Yep.
So I don't know why it wouldn't come in, especially given, the defense's theory on, what they're telling the jury, their whole defense is based on this being a cover up. So I think the jury needs to be able to hear everything so that they can decide whether or not, they think it's great. Because they may hear it and be like, you know what? No, that doesn't matter. But that should be something they should be able to consider.
100%. I mean, it goes to bias, right? Goes to memory, goes to a lot of things. And yeah, how did she not know that her fire was a Boston police officer? And she went to the high school with the girl, and people probably have receipts that they're still friends and they still hang out. Who knows if somebody has pictures of them recently drinking in a bar somewhere. So I think it's allowed to be brought in, and I don't understand what they're discussing, but we're not going to be able to hear it apparently. So there's that. A lot of new members here that we'll thank later. Thanks on top for your super sticker, and Ann Smith for your super sticker. Thank you. Thanks for being a member for a month. I'm not sure whose member you are, so because we can't really see whose or whose. They all come up together since we're doing a dual stream. Can we count how many times Lally says sort of? Maybe you need a new counter.
I know. Gosh, there's so many. Sort of is another one that he says a lot. Essentially is one he says a lot.
Yeah. MD, thanks for your super chat. What's more perplexing is why wasn't Jen more upset? John was her friend for years, at least 10 years. And she's walking around the scene, doesn't seem to be upset at all. It's so bizarre. And we've heard that 911 call. It's going to come in.
Mm-hmm.
There's a man passed out in the snow. It didn't come in as officer down. Didn't come in as my friend of a decade. Police officer John O'Keefe is laying in the snow.
Yeah, I think it's strange that she didn't ever tell any of the officers that was her sister's house either.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of odd. You would think that would be, one of the things that you talk about like that. That's, I mean, like, what do I know, but
No,
I feel like that would be, it's one of the first things I say, like we were here last night, this is my sister's house. This is, but
yeah, he was invited to come over. Those aren't those important details.
Yeah.
Still looking at the fan.
If she doesn't allow this in. Ugh.
Suroff's log also says 32 Fairview. None of the times were right. Everything about that log report was wrong, or dispatch report. And he said that, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter if the report's wrong, because what's important is that we get someone out to the scene.
Yeah.
It's going to open up a whole can of worms for everybody who's ever been, convicted based on a dispatch report in Canton, because they don't seem to think that accuracy is important. Luna's mom, thanks so much for the super chat. Ladies, love you both. I have vertigo. Anyway, we cannot watch the fan. Yes, I took it off the screen. It makes me nauseous too, just even in my peripheral. Charlene, thanks for your super chat. Wait till the jury sees how tiny the lawn is compared to the Commonwealth's real estate looking photos, and how nobody saw Officer John O'Keefe's body. Great show, Melanie and Brandy. Thank you, Charlene. Thank you, Noni lady, for your super chat. She's attractive, so she will have the haters. Yeah, we're seeing that out there.
Be Kind, I don't know, it's not showing up on this one, or is it? Be Kind Tiger just gifted 10 memberships. Thank you so much, Be Kind Tiger. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Oh, that's awesome. Oksana, thanks for your super chat. Karen Reed Lexus is at 34 Fairview. Is this normal? I've never seen them bring a car in to let the... First of all, it's not even in the same condition that it was in on the night of the accident, because apparently the whole entire taillight has been removed.
Yeah.
They've testified that they saw 45, they found 45 pieces, right, of taillight.
Yeah. And I know he said in the openings, when I went back to try to get through everything he said that he has somebody who's going to testify that they, put the pieces back together and all of that stuff too. So I don't know where all they're planning on. I don't think that the question was ever that it didn't come from her taillight. But I guess it's part of covering his bases.
Yeah, and all the missing footage at the Canton Sally Port is going to come in too. When the car is coming into the Sally Port and when they first pulls in, it's going to be very interesting. Mike, thanks for the super chat. She's by far the most coached witness. Seems that way because she said I didn't look at the notes. So my question would be, what notes are you referring to? Did you take notes? Where are your notes?
Yeah.
Do you have notes at home? Did you make notes at home? Because we found out from one of the court filings that Jen McCabe and Kerry Roberts made a timeline. Oh, court's on a break. It says live court is on a break. We'll be right back. What does your feed say? Same?
Yeah. I swapped over to Court TV because the other one was, my audio may work now, but.
All right. Do you want to put yours on too? Because you might be able to modulate it better.
Yeah, we can try. We'll see if I'm using Court TV feed now, just in case. Make sure I'm boosted. My sound bar.
Oh, you have it muted on your end. That's why the sound wasn't playing, it looks like. There we go. All right. So I muted mine. So now it should work when it comes back on. Yeah, I've never seen them bring a car to a scene. And my other question is, why is there no motor vehicle accident report? In New York, you have to have a motor vehicle accident report filed to make any kind of insurance claim. If there's any personal injury or property damage over $1,000, a police report has to be filed with Albany.
Yeah.
I don't think they have one.
There's so many things. And one of my biggest things about this is let's just say she's, guilty as the day is long. This would have all been avoided if there was an investigation that a Boston police officer deserves, if they had done things the way that they should be done, and if they had, crossed their T's and dotted their I's and, not made a big mess of this. It's like this whole, circus that this has become is directly in relation to their bad policing, to use Jackson's words.
Incredibly poor investigation. There was, just bizarre. I've never seen anything like it, especially for a police officer. Usually here in New York, heaven and earth is moved to find out what happened to any fallen police officer, whether it's on the job or not. So I just find that to be so curious. And I think the jury's going to see through it too. Hi, Duty Ron. Thanks for coming in. Thanks for your $20 super chat. Thank you, ladies, for the outstanding coverage today. I hope justice prevails in this trial. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
It's been a long time. Happy Friday, Lisa. Thanks for your super chat. Were you going to say something?
Oh, no. Sorry, I'm yawning.
Paul Christopher, thanks for your super chat. It is Christmas. It's Christmas. Tuned in and see two of my favorites together. Best gift we could get. Oh, thanks, Paul. Mermaid Mary, RN, amazing work on your podcast, Brandy. Your grass is still cellaring.
Oh, okay, see this? My grass, I have grass because you don't have grass at the beach. So this is my grass, this little thing right here. And see how it's like sparkling?
Oh, yeah.
No idea why. It's like almost like a green screen effect, but I don't know how. I don't know why. And when I hold it up to, and I have a plant over here that does the same thing. Let me look here. Lucy's treat bag is right here. Let's see if this does it too. Yep. See? See?
Well, that's funny. Maybe it's
but
the sunlight. Are you in front of a window?
I have a window to my left right here, but I don't know how to do it. I don't know.
It may be sunlight. It may be sunlight, or maybe an angel. Where's Lucy today? She wants to know where Lucy is today.
She is right here. Come here. You want to say hi to your friends? Say hello. Say hello to your friends. Say hi. She's my little bestie.
Hi, Elf. Thanks for your super chat. Why does the judge interrupt, doesn't want wait for Lally to object? I know. She's cutting off testimony before he even has an opportunity to object. And I mean, people have been screaming that she's biased, and I'm just trying to give her a fair shake, because I know a lot of judges, and I know that a lot of judges can appear biased, but they're trying to do their best. But it's starting to be like everyone is saying it now.
Yeah. There have been some decisions that she made that I thought were, that I thought were fair. Mm-hmm. But overall, you know what it reminds me of? Like when I was in when I was young and, you know, I played ball and stuff, like I played basketball and I was a cheerleader and stuff. And I remember like there were a couple years where the, oh, we have audio. There was a couple years where like the worst player on the team, his dad would coach and try to help out the worst. That's what it feels like.
Oh, well, it says this is your tab, right? Yeah, that's your tab. Why are they, so they're going to go on the jury view while they argue this? But the attorneys are going on the jury view too. Huh. I can't hear anything on my feed. Can you?
Can you hear it?
No, I
Do you
can't.
have, you can? Okay. Court TV feed didn't come back. Let me see if. Court TV must be in the bathroom.
Somebody has the
Come on.
camera up.
Well, let me boost this. I'm having to swap because Court TV forgot to come back.
I can't hear it.
Oh, really?
What feed is that?
Did you hear the last one?
Yeah, but I think I was hearing it on my end. So which feed are you watching right now?
Boston 10.
On YouTube?
I don't know why mine's not working. I'm unmuted.
I'll put mine up.
Just about if I needed a drink of water or to use.
Okay, I'm going to take this back.
You may have trouble actually getting those into evidence. 14 in a little bit, but right. Did you get these? Okay, so we have four pieces of paper marked for identification that appear, you got these off of social media sites, Mr. Jackson?
That's correct.
Okay, when did you get these?
I couldn't tell you the exact date, but we've probably had them for between 6 months and a year.
All right. And Commonwealth, you've not seen these before?
No, Your Honor.
Right. So we'll talk about Rule 14 in a little bit, but we'll bring the witness in. You can ask her questions, Mr. Jackson, about her vacation that you mentioned, the drinking that you talked about, the relationship with Ms. Albert. I've forgotten the first name already, and Caitlyn, and about the house. So you can ask her questions about that, and let's see, you can show her these exhibits or these marked for identification if you need to. You may have trouble actually getting those into evidence, but I'm going to let you find out. You can ask her to identify them, how long ago they were, things like that.
Thank you.
All right, could we bring in Ms. McLaughlin, please?
They're coming in. Social media comes in every case.
And Commonwealth, you just saw these today. I'm sorry, I don't remember if I asked you that.
Yes, and yes.
And you were objecting that, you objected to sidebar that these come in at all?
Correct.
Okay. Oh, here's the fourth one, I'm sorry. Mr. Jackson, here's the last one. All right, so Ms. McLaughlin, Mr. Jackson's going to be allowed to ask you questions outside the presence of the jury, and you're still under oath and you have to answer them truthfully, okay?
Okay.
It's too bad Lally didn't do his homework. There's due diligence.
Laughlin, when, just briefly as a predicate, when you stepped out, I just want to make sure we're very clear. Did you have a conversation with anybody from the Commonwealth between the time you walked out of court and just now?
Just about if I needed a drink of water or to use the restroom.
Okay, but nothing about the substance of your testimony?
No.
Mr. Laughlin, I asked you before we broke if you know who Caitlyn Albert is.
Yes.
You said
Oh, dang.
you went to high school with somebody by that name, correct?
Yes.
You in fact know that person as a friend, correct?
I know her.
She's more than an acquaintance.
I would say she's an acquaintance. She's not a close friend.
She had a group of friends of yours?
We have mutual friends.
How long have you known her?
Probably since high school.
When you say, and I don't want to ask your age, I wouldn't do that. How many years, how long of a span of years have you known her?
Since high school, so maybe 10.
Oh.
Do you know her family generally?
I don't.
You don't know anything about her family?
I don't know her family.
Had you ever been to her house?
Not that I recall ever being there.
Not that you recall, or you haven't? There's two different things.
I don't recall ever being there.
Okay, so you might have been there, you just don't recall.
I don't recall ever being there.
Okay. If I were to ask you if you have ever been to her house, yes or no, you cannot answer that because you don't know. You cannot recall, correct?
How do you not
I would say,
recall?
I would lean towards no. I have no recollection of ever being at her house.
This is an offer of proof. That's what they're doing. People are saying, why isn't the jury in there? So the judge wants to hear an offer of proof as to what she's going to testify before she decides whether or not she's going to let the jury hear it. So, yeah, her father was on a reality show. Brian Albert was on a show called Boston's Finest. So I'm sure that she knows the family, or at least who the family is.
Are you friends with her on social media?
Yes.
May I approach you on her?
Yes.
I'm just going to leave all four of these up here. I know what they look like. Can you do me a favor and take a look at the first document? What does that document appear to be?
It says Caitlyn's friends.
What does it look like? That's a printout of.
I'm sorry.
What does that look like? It's a printout of. Does that look like it's from Facebook or one of the social media apps?
Yeah, I don't know exactly. Some social media.
Okay. Under Caitlyn's friends, do you see your handle, for lack of a better phrase?
I do.
Okay. Is that you?
Yes.
Okay. Can you look at the next photograph? Before we talk about that next photograph, which is, I should go in order for the record, Your Honor. The first one was H. Before we talk about I, which is the next photograph, how long have you been social media friends, quote, friends with Caitlyn Albert?
I don't know.
More than 5 years?
Probably.
More than 8 years?
I don't know.
The second photograph, or the second document, appears to be a photograph. It's I, is that right?
Yes.
Do you see yourself in that photograph?
I do.
You see Caitlyn in that photograph?
I do.
When was that photograph taken?
I have no idea.
Where was that photograph taken?
I don't know.
You have no idea how long ago that was?
I don't.
What was the event that was depicted, or that is depicted in that photograph?
I don't know.
Is that local, or was that on a trip somewhere?
I don't know. Probably local. If it's a beach, I don't remember. I've never been away to a beach on vacation with all of these people, so probably local.
When we say local, let's talk about local. I don't mean.
How do you not remember?
We may have different definitions.
Is there a beach in Canton?
Where would that be? What beach? I'm not as familiar with the location.
I'm not sure.
Maybe on the Cape?
Possibly.
Okay. Do you recognize some of the other folks in that photograph?
I do.
Matter of fact, there's a lot of people in that photograph, right?
There's a lot of people in it.
Did you take a trip with all those people at some point in the past?
Take a trip.
To the beach.
Did I go to the beach at some point with these people? Yes.
Okay. When did you go to the beach with all those folks?
I don't know. I don't know when this picture is from.
Have you
It
gone?
seems old to me, but
Have you? Well, you can see yourself. I mean,
yeah.
What was that? Did you say it seems old to you?
Yeah, to me.
Okay.
This isn't like a recent to me.
how old do you think that photograph is?
I don't know. It could be around high school. I'm not sure.
And I know Mr. Jackson didn't want to ask you how old you are. When did you get out of high school?
2014. I
Okay.
graduated.
So could that have been around 2014?
It could be.
So you've known Caitlyn for at least that long.
Yeah.
And when I say travel, I mean travel outside of Canton. Gone places with her, correct?
Yes.
You posed for photographs with her,
Yes.
with other folks.
Yes.
It's like socializing and partying, correct?
Looks like socializing.
Maybe a small vacation.
I've never been on vacation with a big group of people like this.
Well, that doesn't look like a, what would you call that if that's not like a mini vacation?
A day at the beach?
A day at the beach, okay. So maybe a day vacation.
Sure.
Okay, let's look at the next photograph. Jay. May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
I do need to remind myself.
You can't look
That
at a picture
photograph
with that
looks
many
pretty
people
old,
and not
correct?
remember.
No,
Of
course not.
They both look old to
And they've got the metadata on this. They know when it was posted. I'm sure they have the metadata on this. Like she's just making herself look even worse.
Yeah.
me. I don't know when they're from.
I'm going to ask you the same questions about that. These aren't trick questions. I don't want to waste your time. What's that from?
I don't remember specifically what or where this is.
Do you see yourself in that photograph?
I do.
Do you see Caitlyn in the photograph?
I do.
You're all posing for the camera, correct?
Yes.
What's the location?
I don't know.
No idea.
She's annoyed.
I don't.
This is yet another socializing event with Caitlyn that you can't recall.
I don't know where this is
Is that
exactly.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to step on your words. Go ahead.
I don't know where this is exactly.
So you've had so many socializing events with Caitlyn and other folks that you can't pinpoint this one as opposed to any of the others that you've had.
Nicely done.
No, I'm saying I can't. These photos are old. I don't know. I don't remember where these were or the circumstances around them. That's what I'm saying.
You see how you're dressed in that photo?
Yes.
You see how you see the other friends that are there with you?
Yeah.
How many people would you estimate are in that photo?
Do you want me to count how many people?
Give me it. I don't have the photo in front of me, so just give me it. Is it more than 5?
12
12 people.
ish.
Okay. Do you recognize those dozen people?
I do.
Did you go on a day trip with those dozen people?
Yeah, possibly.
When?
I don't know.
Where?
I'm sorry. I don't know. I don't remember.
How many times have you gone on day trips with those dozen people?
I don't know.
How about turning back to photograph I? How many times have you gone on day trips and socialized with those number of people? Which looks like probably double that, 20 or 25 people.
I don't know.
That's a big group of friends of yours that includes Caitlyn Albert, right?
A big group of mutual friends.
So it's not just that she's a mutual friend, she's a friend. Isn't that right?
As I said before, I would consider myself more of an acquaintance. We have mutual friends. I wouldn't consider her a close friend, but yeah, I mean that would be my answer.
She just gave him the per my last email.
I didn't grow.
What'd she say?
I said she just gave him the per my last email. She was like, as I said before, that's like the per my last email of testifying.
Yeah, and she's gonna stick into that story. She's digging herself a big hole right here. The judge has to let this in. I mean, there's nothing that she can say now to get out of this, but she's gonna try.
Yeah.
Friend, but yeah, I mean that would be my answer.
You basically grew up with her, went to high school with her.
I didn't grow up with her. I went to high school with her.
When I say grow up with her, I mean you grew up in the same town as her, right?
Grew up in the same town.
Went to the same high school as she did.
Yes.
Socialized with the same friends as she did.
Yes.
Went on day trips with her.
Yes.
And apparently have all the same friend group. Right?
I don't know that we have all the same friend group. These are people that we're both friends with.
But you don't consider her anything more than just an acquaintance.
I think I described it to you.
The answer to my question is you don't consider her to be anything more than an acquaintance.
I wouldn't consider her to be a close friend.
Now let's take a look at the last photograph.
That's subjective, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Describe what's in that photograph.
It's a picture of me. Caitlyn is in it, and seems to be other people in it as well.
May I approach?
Yes.
We've got a poll going on my channel if they think she's going to let this in or not. So far, 55% say she will.
Both of you can take it. Sorry.
I think she has to.
That's a close-up photograph of who?
Caitlyn, and I'm also in it.
And you're doing what in the photograph as it relates to Caitlyn?
It seems like I'm kind of kneeling down next to her.
Touching her?
Can I see that for just a minute, please? I'm sorry, can you show me you? Okay. Thank you.
So just for the record, may I approach one more time, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you. Take a look at that one more time. You're sort of just behind Caitlyn in that photograph?
Yes.
Caitlin's the one drinking the beer?
Yes.
You got your right arm around her?
Yes.
You both appear to be wearing swimwear,
Yes.
bathing suits,
Yes.
and you're giving some sort of sign with your left hand?
No, I'm not.
Is that somebody else's hand that I saw? Maybe that's Caitlyn's.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't have the photograph in front of me. I don't have it committed to memory. Looks like that's a photograph that you and Caitlyn posed for together, correct?
It seems like it's a close-up of a bigger, like a picture. It seems to be zoomed in on a group of people.
Which was posted on social media.
Okay.
Is that right?
Are you telling me that?
I'm asking you that. Have you ever seen that posted on social media?
I don't recall seeing this picture, but if it was on social media, then okay.
How long ago was that picture taken?
I don't know.
Who took the picture?
I don't know.
Where were you when the photograph was taken?
Probably at a beach if we're wearing bathing suits.
Probably at a beach or at a beach?
Well, I can't see a beach in the picture. We're in bathing suits. It could be at a beach.
Right. Do you recognize the bathing suit that you're wearing in the photograph?
No.
You literally don't even recognize your own outfit?
No.
So that doesn't help define where you were and when that photograph was taken?
No, sir.
Do any of these photographs remind you that you've been to Caitlyn's house at some point in your friendship with her?
No.
Has Caitlyn ever been to your house?
Not to my recollection.
When was the last time you talked to Caitlyn?
Ooh.
I don't remember
Good question.
exactly. It's probably been a few years.
When was the last time you went to an event, socializing event with Caitlyn?
Again, I don't remember exactly.
Jackson's going to know. He wouldn't ask that without knowing.
Oh, absolutely. He already knows the answer. A smart lawyer never asks a question they don't already know the answer to. This has to come in. There's no way it can't.
At or around, on or around January 29th, 2022?
No.
When was the last time you had talked to Caitlyn before January 29th, 2022?
I don't know.
Would it have been a day before, a week before, a month before?
No, I don't talk to her. Like I said, we're not like close friends, so it's like pretty infrequent that we would interact. So I don't know when the last time before that.
What about texting or Snapchatting? Or
Oh, he's got
communicating that
receipts.
way?
I don't remember.
Would it have been a week before the 29th?
I don't think so.
You don't think so, or you know so?
I don't think so.
What about after the 29th, after you responded to 34 Fairview? You ever have any communication with her?
Not that I can recall.
So is that something that you think you might remember if you responded to a house of her father where there's a police officer dead or dying on the yard, on the lawn, 30 feet from the front door? You might have had a conversation with Caitlyn?
I've never had a conversation with Caitlyn about that call or this case.
Did you ever contact any of your other friends about the fact that you responded to Caitlyn's parents' house?
No.
Were you ever asked about this relationship that you had with Caitlyn Albert, this friendship that you had with Caitlyn Albert at or near the time of the 29th of January?
No.
Did you ever disclose to anybody that you had a relationship with Caitlyn Albert at or around the time of this event?
No.
When you went to 34 Fairview, you knew that that was the Albert family home, correct?
No.
When did you learn that it was the Albert? You now know that.
I know that now.
When did you find out?
I don't know. I don't recall. It was some point after. It was, but I don't know when.
Oh.
Would it have been the next day?
No.
You and Firefighter Flamati and Firefighter Nuttall were all discussing this case pretty intently after this event, correct?
No.
It's not that often in the little town of Canton that a police officer is found dead or dying on another police officer's lawn. Wouldn't you agree with that?
We responded to a medical call, so the conversation after the fact was at the hospital, debriefing the call, going over what happened, what we use for equipment, what we need, and just like that was the extent of the conversation.
Would you agree that this case, given its notoriety, is discussed at the fire station almost daily?
I don't know when I'm not there, but it does get brought up.
And obviously the fact that the house belongs to, or belonged at the time, to the Albert family is part of that discussion.
I don't know. Like I said, it gets brought up, but I just avoid it. I don't engage in the conversations.
It was certainly enough of a subject matter that you learned, according to you, after the 29th, that house belongs to Brian Albert, Nicole Albert, parents of your friend Caitlyn Albert, right?
Well, at that point, it was on the news consistently, so I don't know where that like information was introduced, but
it was pretty early on after the 29th.
I don't recall when it was known that that was the case.
I mean, you didn't learn that that was the Albert family home last week.
No.
You've known it for going on 2.5 years.
I don't know exactly when I learned that that was the house.
I realize you don't know exactly, Mrs. McLaughlin. I'm not asking you the day you learned. I'm asking you, you've known this basically through the lifespan of this case.
At some point after I learned it.
Right. I'm just trying to figure out about how long after. A week after? A month after?
I'm not sure.
But it was more toward January 29th than it was yesterday, correct?
Correct.
Just a moment, Your Honor.
Yes.
Was it before she testified in front of the grand jury?
Good question.
Was it before she testified in front of the federal grand jury? Was it before she gave Proctor her statement on the day after the incident? If looks could kill, they
I
probably
know.
will. Who can name that tune? For those of you who are maybe just joining, this is an offer of proof or of voir dire of this witness. The judge has excused the jury.
A couple of brief questions. Do you know any of Caitlyn's siblings?
No,
You don't know Brian Albert Jr.?
no,
Do you know of any of her extended family that might be a little closer in age to you, like Colin Albert?
no,
Have you ever met any of them?
not that I recall.
Not that you recall, or no?
I don't remember meeting any of them.
Your Honor, that's all I have right now.
All right, Mr. Lally, any questions?
Sure. Just a few, Your Honor. So, Ms. McLaughlin, you're not friends with Caitlyn Albert, correct?
I'm sorry.
You're not friends with Caitlyn Albert, is that correct?
I would say she's an acquaintance, not a close friend.
Now, you were shown some photographs of you in a fairly large group with Caitlyn Albert, correct?
Yes.
You don't know when those were, correct?
I don't know exactly.
You don't know where you were when those were taken, correct?
No, not exactly. They seem old.
And just to back up, you knew her in high school, but you weren't friends in high school, right?
I would categorize our relationship as always being just acquaintances. I knew her. We had some mutual friends, but we were never close friends. We don't have a one-on-one relationship.
And as far as high school versus post-high school, would you see her more so during high school, the high school years, or after you graduated?
Well, probably more in high school just because you're there every day. But then afterwards, yeah, only here and there. Like I said, like mutual friends. So maybe events for mutual friends, I might run into her.
And to be clear, and I think you made reference to it, but that last photograph that's marked as K, that seems to be a cropped or sort of zoomed in of a larger photo. Is that right?
Yeah. Yes.
Now, as far as each of those photos you were shown, you're present in a photo with Caitlyn Albert in a much larger group, correct?
Yes.
Have you ever hung out or socialized with Caitlyn Albert outside of the setting of a large group?
No.
You've never been to her house before that date of January 29th that you know, correct?
Correct.
She's never been to your house that you know of, correct?
Correct.
Now, as far as that first one, it's as far as social media is concerned, as far as a friends list, and without sort of doing it, I'm sort of putting that in air quotes. How many friends would you say you have on social media in total?
I don't know. Maybe over 500. I don't know.
And of those 500 people, how many of those 500 people would you consider actual friends?
Much less than that. Less than 10.
No way. Less than 10?
All right, why don't we wrap this up, Mr. Lally?
Just when it comes to that day that you responded, you're working with the fire department, you responded to a call on January 29th to a home, or as you say, to somewhere on the side of the road. Did you have any idea whose house that was adjacent to where the treatment was concerned with regard to your patient?
No.
I know. Okay. All right. So there was an objection that this was in violation of Rule 14 to admit these exhibits, Mr. Lally. That's what you said, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I agree. So the exhibits don't come in, but based on this voir dire and the answers, I'm going to give you some leeway on exactly what you did. Okay. The relationship, the socialization and the extent of it, friends on social media, those areas. You didn't quite get everything that you mentioned at sidebar you thought you'd get. So that's not coming in.
So
If you
stay within the parameters.
So why don't you come over here then, just because?
This is interesting. So out of 500 friends, she only considers less than 10 of them to be close friends. Is that what she said?
Yeah. But so here's the thing though, if she's not allowing the pictures to come in, but she's like, "Oh, I'll allow you to question her." Okay, so you're going to question her about, "Are you friends?" No. Have y'all ever hung out? Not that I can recall. She's going to give all those answers, but without the pictures to show that she was hanging out with her. I mean,
maybe because she, if she lies, because the judge already knows what she's going to say, right? If she starts to try and minimize it even more, then maybe the pictures will come in. But it seems I have seen social media ruin many cases, and it's allowed in. So I think it's a little bit of an odd ruling. She's not the defendant; she's a third-party witness, but if somebody got to her, let's just say from this family, because they did have a relationship, I want to know how big that high school graduating class was. I want to know how big that high school is. I want to know how many years she was, who's older. Did she look up to Caitlyn Albert? Was she idolizing Caitlyn Albert? You know, there's a lot of other questions that I would have.
Yeah. I just, I think because she was the only one on scene up until memories changed over time, but she was the only one on scene who heard the version of "I hit him" instead of "Did I hit him?
Is he alive?" Right.
Yeah. So because she's the only one who heard that, I think it is important for the defense to point out that, the only person who heard that is friends with them, so that the jury can weigh that evidence and see.
And they need to be able to weigh it. Right. It's up to the jury. The jury is the finder of fact here. It's up to the jury to decide whether or not she's telling the truth. Somebody said maybe 200 graduates with each class. And the class of 2014 was 213 people, says Ms. Carey. So, and the class of 2014, 200, she said she graduated in 2014. Does anybody know when Caitlyn Albert graduated? That would be interesting to me.
Yeah.
Let's address. Okay, I thought they came back. Jane, thanks for your super chat. She does not know who Brian Albert is. He was on the show Boston's Finest. I'm sure almost everyone in that town knows who he is. And of course we know she knows the family. This is shameful. Thank you so much for your super chat, Jane.
Yeah, in a town like that, with her being, firefighter too, like, all of those, like with them having so many ties to, the different police in the area, like, Alberts have ties to the Canton police and to the, Boston police, obviously. And she is at a small town in a small high school. I mean,
well, I found that weird too, that she doesn't know who Officer Saraf is, but they work together probably all the time. They probably, respond to a lot of calls together. Does anybody know in the chat how many members there are of the Canton PD? How many officers were employed at the time? Because come on, you don't know this guy? Angela says, thanks for your super chat, Angela. Can they lose their job in Canton Fire Department because they lied? I don't know. Happy Friday, Julie. Thanks for being a member for 10 months. Details are important when you're a firefighter. We've heard every single firefighter and paramedic who came to the stand talk about how details are so important. And it's so important that the reports are accurate. And she can remember exactly what Karen said, but she can't remember if she's ever been to Caitlyn Albert's house or what beach that picture was taken at. Jury's coming in.
If you all think they're right outside the door, you're mistaken.
Please be seated.
Oh, that's going to take a while for them to get there, climbing up however many flights of stairs. Oh, so Caitlyn graduated in 2014 as well.
Oh, the judge said, or somebody said, whoever, Jackson maybe said something about, asked about some of the other Alberts that were her age.
I thought so too. So I don't know. I can't confirm or deny whether they are in the same graduating class, but anybody has there are pictures on Google from 2014 Canton graduation. Okay, Lil Mo, thanks. Are they both in it?
Wow.
Somebody said there's a Venmo of them, their friends on Venmo together. I wonder if when they were down the Cape, if they were at Auntie Bev's seaside cottage. There's a very small beach there that apparently has the same beach access as Matt McCabe or Sean McCabe or whoever it was that was in the motion to recuse.
Oh, yeah.
Quoted
Wouldn't
as
that be
saying-
something if that's where those pictures were from?
right. Oh, he said he said to somebody, "Oh, Auntie Bev, whose seaside cottage do you think we're going to bury your body under?" And so they used that in the
Yeah.
motion to recuse to try and get her off the case, but she did not recuse herself.
Ms. McLaughlin, did you say you had a water? Is there a water waiting for you out there that you need? Or?
I'm okay.
Thanks, Lori. 24 full-time employees at the Canton Fire Department. How many at the Canton Police Department? How many officers do they have? That's great. So 24. I mean, there's no way in my opinion, she must have known Saraf or Saraf, whatever they're calling him now. Great question. Can you ask if they've ever been in a picture together, but without showing them? That's a great question.
Oh,
Yeah, I hope he does.
yeah. That would be a good one.
Right. Have you ever posted pictures on social media with Caitlyn Albert and then just not show them? And she has to say yes.
Yeah.
Great way of getting it in the back door.
That is a good way. Smart
without even
thinking.
showing- Yeah.
I'm sure he'll ask. Oh, I'm sure he's got a plan. You know, one thing about Jackson and Giannetti, they are nothing if not prepared.
Mm-hmm. Meticulous.
Yeah.
Like a surgeon. Kemikin says, if AJ had the photos for 6 months to a year and didn't hand them over during discovery, it's not out of line for Bev to not allow them. I don't like it either, but I mean, he didn't know if he was going to use them until it came time to impeach. And that's what he's doing by using him, is impeaching her. So there are, exhibits that can be admitted on the fly to impeach somebody. Everyone is confident here. Alan Jackson's a goat, says Michelle. He will figure out a way to get the point across to the jury.
I love the way they both just walk through everything so clearly, most importantly, but also just so skillfully. I love it.
Yeah. It is a masterclass in trial lawyering here.
Yeah.
On the defense side, anyway.
Yeah. Sherry Smith, thank you for the, I don't know, what is this? I don't know if it's Venmo or whatever it is. Thank you. I don't know if it's Venmo or Cash App or what. It's not telling me, but thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So jurors, from time to time, there are things that I need to discuss with the lawyers, as you saw. We try and do it as quickly as we can. It's in an effort to make sure that what you see and hear in this case is appropriate for you to see and hear. So sometimes we spend a little time now that will save us a lot of time later. So we do appreciate your patience.
Mayor Durham?
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. McLaughlin, thank you for your patience. When we last left off, I was asking you about your relationship with Caitlyn Albert. You recall that?
Yes.
I want to ask you a few more questions about that. You and Caitlyn Albert have known each other for how long?
Since high school.
Which is, give me a span of time.
So probably about 10 years.
You have traveled with Caitlyn Albert and friends. When I say traveled, I don't mean to exotic locations. I mean day trips, etc.
Yes.
You have a group of mutual friends together, correct?
We have mutual friends, correct.
Those mutual friends have gone on day trips with you and Caitlyn Albert involved?
Correct.
On more than one occasion, as a matter of fact?
Correct.
On many occasions, matter of fact?
I don't know.
More than 5?
I don't know.
More than 10?
I don't know.
You've seen photographs of you with Caitlyn Albert on some of these day trips, correct?
Yes.
You've seen at least 3 of those photographs.
Yes.
You're friends with Caitlyn Albert on social media?
Yes.
Other than the 3 photographs that you've seen, you just talked about, there have been other events that you've been at with Caitlyn Albert that weren't necessarily photographed, or we don't have those photographs, correct?
Probably.
You know that Caitlyn Albert is the same Caitlyn Albert that's the daughter of Brian and Nicole Albert, as you sit here.
Yes. As I sit here today, yes.
And you know that Caitlyn Albert also has siblings, Brian Albert Jr., correct?
As I sit here today, yes, I know that.
And you also know, as you sit here today, that 34 Fairview was, at the time of January 29th, 2022, the Albert home, correct?
I know that as of today.
You indicated, let me rephrase that. When you showed up at 34 Fairview that morning, did you recognize that address or recognize the home as being that of Caitlyn Albert's?
No.
You have since learned that that was Caitlyn Albert's home.
As I know that now.
Right. And you gave your original statement to Trooper Proctor the next day.
Yes.
And from that day to this day, or let's take yesterday, from that day to yesterday, you learned that 34 Fairview was the Canton Albert family home, correct?
You're asking if I know from...
Between those 2 dates.
Yes.
Between the time you spoke with
Yes.
Proctor in this report till yesterday when you testified, you now know that that's the Albert home.
Yes.
And you also indicated that between that report that you gave to Trooper Proctor, that statement that you gave to Trooper Proctor, and yesterday's testimony, your statement has evolved. You've already admitted that, correct?
I don't think I agreed with you on that.
It's changed. It's different.
I've always testified to I feel as though my testimony has been consistent.
I appreciate how you might feel. I'm just interested in the actual facts. You didn't tell Trooper Proctor anything about this officer questioning my client. Correct?
Objection.
So I'm going to see counsel at sidebar because I think this morphed into a different.
Uh-oh.
Being incredibly obstinate, and the jury's totally picking up on that. How could they not?
Yeah, it seems like he keeps going back to the siblings, he keeps going back to Colin and Brian Albert Jr. So there's something that he knows that I don't think I do.
Right. Jacko 606 says, I grew up in small town Mass. We know every kid's house, every one. I mean, somebody said, didn't we already see this? What we saw before was when the jury was out of the room, They did an offer of proof or a voir dire of the witness so that the judge could see what this witness would testify to when questioned by the defense. And the judge ruled that they would not be allowed to show the pictures, but they would be allowed to question her. And this is what we're seeing now in front of the jury.
You agree, Ms. McLaughlin, that the statement that you gave to Trooper Proctor is not the same as the statement that you gave to these jurors yesterday? Right?
Yes.
Yeah, just a moment.
Yes.
What time are they supposed to come back this afternoon? Do we know that yet?
I don't know.
A couple of other questions. When you did make this statement to Trooper Proctor, your visit to Canton PD was coordinated by another officer to put you and Trooper Proctor together for the interview, correct?
I don't recall that.
Do you recall being contacted by a completely different officer to say, hey, Trooper Proctor wants to talk to you, come on into Canton PD, let's have an interview?
I don't remember exactly how the interview was set up.
So that was my next question. You may have just told me this. Do you have any recollection who set that interview up?
I don't.
His name Caitlyn Albert. Sound familiar?
No.
You know Caitlyn Albert?
No.
You know him to be a police officer at Canton PD?
No.
You know him to be the brother of Brian Albert?
No.
The objection sustained.
That's all I have, Your Honor.
Okay. Lally, any redirect?
Wow, I knew it. Kevin Albert set up the interview.
So Firefighter McLaughlin, you went to high school with Caitlyn Albert, correct?
Yes.
And could you describe the nature of your relationship, if any, with Caitlyn?
I would describe it as we're not close friends. I would say we're more acquaintances. We have mutual friends. I don't have a one-on-one relationship with her.
And you were asked some questions about social media, correct?
Yes.
And if you could, or if you could guesstimate about how many friends, and I'm sort of throwing air quotes in there, how many friends on social media would you have?
I don't know, probably 500.
And of those probably 500 friends on social media, how many of those are actual friends that you talk to, interact with beyond social media?
Much less than that.
Now, prior to, let me ask you this, as far as, would you say that you saw Caitlyn Albert more so when you were in high school or more so since you have graduated from high school?
I would say probably more in high school because we were there every day, so.
And about what year or so was it that you graduated?
2014.
And as far as any sort of photographs that were referenced to you, have you seen those photographs?
Here?
Yes.
Here today, I saw them.
Do you have any idea where or when those photographs were taken?
I don't remember.
And of those photographs, it's not just you and Caitlyn Albert in a photograph. Is that correct?
Correct.
So a larger group of people, is that correct?
Correct.
When you were asked about sort of these day trips, they were sort of trips specifically on a day to a beach, it looks like, correct?
Correct.
And to a beach with a larger group of people, is that correct?
Correct.
And with reference to Caitlyn Albert specifically, have you ever socialized with her in any setting beyond a setting that contains a large group of people?
No.
Now, with respect to, you went to, when you say high school, you graduated from Canton High School, correct?
Correct.
And you grew up in Canton, is that correct?
Yes.
And did you know Caitlyn Albert before you attended Canton High School?
No, that's probably when we first really interacted with high school.
And essentially, you live within the town I'm sorry, you work within the town that you grew up in, correct?
Correct.
sustained, is that abnormal from a civil service perspective?
No, from a civil service perspective, you're given more points for residency. So it's actually, I would say, preferred, or you're placed higher on the list if you have residency in that town.
So it's actually preferred and more common than uncommon as far as growing up in a town and then working in that same town in a civil service position like a firefighter.
Yes.
Now, during the course of the time that you've been on the Canton Fire Department, have you received calls to residencies or other places or even patients that you either knew or were familiar with?
Yes.
Would that be a reason for you to not go on a call?
No.
And you have an obligation, wouldn't you say, to respond to a call when a call is made and you're on duty in that station, correct?
Yes.
The objection sustained. Ask the question differently.
As far as when you're on duty as a firefighter at a particular station house and you get a call, what, if any, choice do you have to respond to any particular call?
I don't have a choice. I just have to respond to the call.
And then prior to that date of January 29th, had you ever been over through socialization or otherwise Caitlyn Albert's house?
Not that I ever remember.
Had she ever been over your house?
No.
And again, had you ever socialized with her outside of a large group of people?
No.
When you responded on that morning, just after 6 a.m., the house of 34 Fairview Road, did you know who lived there?
No.
During the time since January 29th of 2022, have you ever spoken to Caitlyn Albert about what happened that morning in front of 34 Fairview Road?
No.
Now, you were asked some questions on cross-examination about knowing sort of Caitlyn Albert's parents' names or siblings' names or things of that, correct?
Right.
And prior to January 29th, you didn't know any of those names, is that correct?
No.
You learned of them subsequently, is that correct?
Yes.
May we approach just briefly?
Okay.
Who said may we approach? Could you hear who that was?
Lally, I think.
Oh.
Lally. He's so quiet. He doesn't use the microphone. It's so hard to hear anything he says.
So annoying.
Yeah.
It is so. A lot of people are saying, did he open the door for the pictures to come in? If they can show that one of those pictures was taken at either one of their houses, she just blatantly lied on the stand, saying that she's never been to her house. So this will be interesting.
What's crazy too is that she's saying, for her to say, have you ever been there before? You know, and she's like, not that I can recall. If you had been there before and then you responded to a scene with, you know, a deceased officer on the yard, that I feel like that would be something that you would remember, especially in a small town. Especially since she says she's only got so many friends. I mean, she ain't house hopping a lot around here, you know? So if you've been to that home, you would know whether or not you've been there. So all of the I don't recall or I can't, not that I can remember, it sounds fishy. If I'm a juror and I'm hearing that, to me, that sounds fishy.
Does anybody know in the chat? I know we have a lot of locals from Canton. Does anybody know if the Alberts have lived in that house since 2014? I heard that house had been in the family for generations, so I don't know. So during the time when they were in high school, were they living there? And would she have gone to a high school party maybe there at one point?
Didn't the other, was it Kevin that lived in the house before them? I could be getting that wrong. But yeah, they've had that house for ages, but I mean, that was like their childhood home. Yeah.
I mean, the jury's totally getting it. Yeah. Totally getting it. These comments are moving so quickly, it's hard to highlight them.
I feel like when you first hear, you know, as a juror, when you first hear Karen Reed was framed, it's like, okay, you know, all defense attorneys are, you know, gonna, but then it, and I did the same thing when I was like, you know, when I first started looking at this, I was like, you know, that's what they all say. But then it's stuff like this that builds up and builds up and builds up that you're like, oh, okay, well, wait, now maybe could this be a thing? So.
Yeah.
So, Ms. McLaughlin, you learned of those other people's names within the Albert family subsequent to your response to this call on January 29th. Is that correct?
Yes.
Thank you, Duty
You
Ron.
learned of those through sort of various news or media reports in relation to this case, not something that you had any conversations with anybody about, correct?
Correct.
I have nothing further.
All right.
Your Honor, if I may, I have
Okay.
a follow-up.
Okay.
You indicated, Ms. McLaughlin, Mr. Lally just asked
That
about
sigh.
500
Worst.
friends on social media. A couple of quick questions about that. Of those 500 friends on social media, how many of those have you taken day trips with?
I don't know.
How many of those have you gone to the beach with?
I don't know.
How many of those have you posed for photographs with?
I don't know.
How many of those have you posed for photographs in swimwear with?
I don't know.
How many of those have you been photographed with your arm around while that other friend is drinking a beer?
Sustained.
It's
Sustained.
already in. They know it now.
Ms. McLaughlin, all of those things that I just mentioned, you have done with Ms. Caitlyn Albert.
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained.
That's all I have.
Okay. All right, Firefighter McLaughlin, you are all set.
Can't unring that bell. They heard it. They know there's pictures at the beach. They know there's pictures with a beer. They know there's pictures on day trips.
All right, jurors, we are getting ready to go for our view. So we're about to visit a place which you'll be hearing about some more. You've heard about, you've seen photographs of, and in court terminology, we call this a view. The purpose of the view is to help you better to understand the evidence, which you'll hear during the trial, and to help you appreciate the location and its surroundings. The view that you will take is a part of this case. The observations that you make while on the view may be used and considered in your deliberations in reaching a verdict. The place that we're going to go, you've seen photos of, you've heard it, it's 34 Fairview Road. The lawyers and I will accompany you on the bus. The attorneys may point out to you the arrangement of the scene and items that they want you to pay special note of. But otherwise, they cannot discuss anything in this case in regard to this case, and they can't talk to you. All right, they'll be able to do an opening here, and they'll be able to point these things out. While you're on the view, it's very important that you can't take notes, and you certainly can't use your phones and take photographs. All right, it's really just for you to see. You cannot conduct any independent investigation while we're there, or at any time during the trial, as you've been told. You're not to return to the scene or ask anyone else to do it for you until the case is over. So this is your opportunity to take a look when we go. What you are to do on the view may be best summarized in two very familiar words, which is stop and look. Okay. Your responsibility is to see the place, to observe it carefully, and to remember what you see. So during your trip to and from the place that we're going to view, you're not to discuss this case or anything about it among yourselves or with anyone, and you are not to permit anyone to talk with you about the case. You'll be under the supervision of our great court officers at all times, and you'll remain together until you return to court unless the court officers direct you otherwise. And just so that you know, because some of this came up during our jury selection process, spectators, if there are any, and all members of the press have been ordered to stay 100 yards away from you. All right, so you can go and you can look and take your time looking without worrying about any interference from anyone. All right, so with that, Mr. Clerk, could you swear in, please, the court officers?
Court officers, raise your right hands, please. Do you solemnly swear you will take this jury upon the premises in question and there suffer them to view the same and any property, place, or thing bearing upon the issues on the trial, as they shall seem necessary, that you not permit the parties to enter in a debate in front of the jury or a person to speak to them unless it be Adam Lally for the Commonwealth and Alan Jackson for the defendant, They to point out such places or things as they deem expedient for the determination of the issue, and that you will keep the jury together until they shall return into court, except the court shall otherwise order, so help you God. Thank you.
All right. So Mr. Lally, do you want to do a short view opening?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Oh, view
Ladies and
opening.
gentlemen, as her owner just described, we're about to go to a place. When we arrive there, and at any point in time when we're there, this is not a point where we can have any sort of conversation or back and forth. So all I'm going to be asking you to do is just take note of certain locations and certain items as you see them. And again, as with anything in this case, this is as you find them, as you observe them, okay? So first I'm going to ask you to sort of, when we arrive in a general area, as far as taking note of sort of street names when you're coming into and when you're exiting from this particular area. When we arrive at a specific location, I'm going to ask you to take note of certain things about the roadway. Okay, certainly any abutments to the roadway, any residences that you observe, the distances between the roadway, and any landmarks or any items that you observe on that property, specifically a driveway, specifically a front door, any other sort of items of interest within the front lawn area of that home. I'm also going to ask you to take note of the roadway itself and sort of the width of that roadway, whether or not you find any sort of lanes separating within that roadway, and then the individual width of some of those lanes as well. Lastly, there is also going to be a vehicle there as well. And I'm going to ask you to take note of certain things with respect to that vehicle, okay? With respect to the size of the vehicle, with respect to the height of the vehicle, with respect to anything that you observe specifically from the front, the side, the back, all of the exterior of that vehicle, and then also some of the interior of that vehicle. And specifically, I'm going to ask you to take note of sort of the center console in the front driver's compartment of that vehicle, and anything that you observe in that location as well. And that is all I'm asking you to do on this.
The
case,
middle
and I thank you
console.
again for your time.
All right. Mr. Jackson?
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. It's the first time we've been able to speak to you directly, so I want to take the opportunity to introduce myself and thank you for your service and thank you for your time and commitment to this. I'm
Why
going
the
to
middle
echo
console?
a lot of what Mr. Lally just said. There's nothing magical about this other than it gives you perspective. It's an opportunity to introduce you in three-dimensional form to stuff that you've been seeing in two-dimensional form. Photographs, some of the testimony, diagrams that you might see.
So I'm sorry, we're really pointed on what you can say.
What we're going to ask you to do is take special note of the relationships of physical items out at the scene. Much as Mr. Lally just indicated, there are going to be physical things out at the scene. You've heard about a flagpole, a fire hydrant, a house. We're going to ask you to take special note of where those are in relation to other things physically at the scene. That will hopefully, with the court's instruction, give you some assistance in putting together the testimony that you think is relevant, and the documents that you think are relevant. Again, to echo what Mr. Lally said, we're going to ask you to look at the roadway, the vehicle, the house, the physical items at the home, and the relationship between and among all of those things to each other. Hopefully, that will give you a very good understanding of what we're dealing with, especially with the exhibits. Thank you.
All right. So, folks, we'll be all set. We'll see you at the bus in a little bit.
Just make sure your notebooks are closed.
You are muted.
Wheels
Goodbye.
on the bus go round and why the middle console?
Interesting. First of all, what time are they coming back to take more testimony? That would have been nice if she said we're coming back at 2:00 or something like that after lunch.
Yeah,
Are they coming back for more testimony? It's kind of unclear to me.
they're still going right now. Oh, he comes. Oh, they're about to argue something.
Oh, good. Okay, let's put it back up.
Ooh, what are we arguing?
Wait, I see the fan on Court TV. Where are you seeing that?
Boston 10 is Court TV behind. Oh, you're behind a little bit. Skip forward.
Okay.
There we go.
One final record on the court's ruling. I respect the court's ruling on the.
Go ahead. You can make your record.
Maybe it would be better if I did it over here. I wanted to interpose an objection to.
So I think it would be better if you did it over here.
Why?
It's just a legal matter.
I don't know what you're doing. Come over here and tell me what you're going to do, and then I'll get back and do it.
I don't know what you're doing. He's making a legal argument. for the
He
record.
wants to put something on the record, and she's like, no, I don't want anybody else to hear it because I don't know what it's going to be. Is that normal?
No,
I didn't think so.
no, because the media is there. I don't know.
Yeah, you know?
Yes.
Okay, as it relates to the 4 exhibits that the court deemed were not admissible because of a violation of Rule 14, I wanted to elaborate just very briefly.
Go ahead.
Our objection. We believe that under Rule 14, we were not obligated to have to present these exhibits to the Commonwealth in discovery. Rule 14 does not require such disclosure when the exhibits are used for impeachment only. And that's exactly what those 4 exhibits were going to be used for and what we intended to use them for. Had this witness said, I know Caitlyn Albert, we've been friends for 10 years, we went to high school together, we've been on day trips together, we've been to the beach together, and we've socialized together. I wouldn't have to show any photographs, but that's not what she said. What she said was, I went to high school with a person named Caitlyn Albert, which is a bastardization of the truth. That's not the truth. And those 4 photographs are what got her in the voir dire process, what got her to admit that she in fact does know Caitlyn Albert, and those are on a very, very different level than she first suggested. As the SJC is explained in the case of Commonwealth versus Aguiar, A-G-U-I-A-R, at 400 Mass 508, pin site at 513. It's a 1987 case that says the following, and then I'll finish my record. Quote, a defendant has a constitutional right to bring to a jury's attention any circumstance which may materially affect the testimony of an adverse witness, which might lead the jury to find that the witness is under an influence to prevaricate. It matters not that the evidence would reveal an otherwise inadmissible fact, such as the witness's commission of a crime. A judge may not restrict cross-examination of a material witness by foreclosing inquiry into a subject that could show bias or prejudice on the part of the witness, end quote. And that's exactly what we believe we were entitled to do with Katie Crawford as a witness for the Commonwealth. She has bias, or at least the jurors can consider a bias. She has prejudice, the jurors could consider a prejudice because of a pre-existing relationship with Caitlyn Albert, about which she was not truthful. So I wanted to make that record and ask the court to reconsider whether or not those 4 exhibits could be introduced. I don't need to make any big deal about it. I don't want to call her back to the stand, but I think the jurors, now having had the description of those photographs, should be able to see them in evidence. And I will submit.
All right, so that request is denied. The record's clear. So Ms. Reed is not going on this view. She just needs to make sure she's back here by the time we return. So Mr. Yannetti, you're nodding.
Yes,
You will
understood.
contact her and make sure
Understood.
she's back here.
Understood.
All rise for the court, please.
Wow. That's exactly what I said. I love it. I love being right. And I didn't even read the case law, but they're not required to turn over any evidence that is used in impeachment. And that's exactly what that was. He made a record on it for appeal. And, you know, the question could be at some later time, is this reversible error?
So that's that's something that I would love to hear your perspective on as far as the appeals process goes with this, because I've heard a couple different attorneys talk about her whole thing with not objecting or not giving your reasons, your grounds for objecting while you're doing it, how that can affect how that can cause appellate issues or, on one side or the other, it can either help or, harm it. And then stuff like this, like how, we're only on day 4. And this has been interesting, to say the least, how things are kind of being held. So what are you thinking about appellate issues?
Yeah, it's been a train wreck, I think, for the prosecution, and they know it. I mean, you could just tell during his opening statement that he did not believe in his case at all. So,
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that these photos, she may overturn herself, she may reconsider, and she may decide to let them see these photos and bring them into the jury room. But I mean, he's right. They don't have to turn this over ahead of time if it's used for impeachment. And he's also right that if she had admitted to the relationship and said, oh yeah, we went to high school together, we've known each other for at least 10 years. I know now where they live. Maybe on the night of, I didn't know, and Lally tries to rehabilitate her by saying, well, even if you did know that it was her house, that wouldn't conflict you. He didn't say conflict, but he said that wouldn't prevent you from being able to go on the call, right? But yeah, all of this goes to bias. She's really so far the only credible witness who says that Karen said, I hit him, right? Saraf said it, but then he was impeached, I think. It's hard to remember now. And then Flamati, that was a kind of wacky testimony too. Like he said he told Proctor that, but then he testified in court that he also told that to the hospital. Then he admitted that he didn't tell anybody that ever until yesterday. So it had me thinking like, or it was Yuri Buchanan who had done his statement. I was confused about whether he never told Yuri that she said, I hit him, or if he never told the hospital that, or he never told anybody that told the hospital that. It was so fakakta that I don't know what that guy was saying. Do you?
Yeah, no. Well, so, okay. So Saraf said from the beginning, that in all of his beginning stuff that, I think he was the one that just said that she kept asking if he was dead. And then when he testified to the grand jury, that's when he brought in the part about, she said, this is all my fault. And then he repeated that again yesterday or whatever day it was. It all runs together. But he repeated that again. So Jackson brought that up, that in his original reports and everything else up till the grand jury testimony, his statement was that she just kept saying, is he dead? Is he dead? So then all of a sudden this is all my fault came in, and so he addressed that. Mulaney said that the two things that she was repeating was, is he dead? And that's my boyfriend. And Jackson specifically asked him, did you ever hear her say, I hit him? And he said he did not hear that. And if he did, he'd put it in his reports. So Nuttall is the first one who said that he heard it, as far as testimony goes in court. He's the first one who said that he heard it. But of course, he's the one who also remembered the jacket, and who, the time that he said he heard it, he was in the ambulance. And, so that was kind of his way of showing that is probably a false memory. Right. Flamati said that I hit him, but he was the one who was in the ambulance when it was supposedly said. So Walsh only remembered saying, is he alive? And then Katie's the one. So the ones who have said it here never said it before. This all came out later, 2 years later, after all of these conversations and stuff. So
yeah. Well, I think aside from the fact that it came out that she totally knows Caitlyn Albert, they've been to the beach together, they've been in bathing suits, they've been drinking beer, is that Kevin Albert, Brian Albert's brother, who is a Canton police officer, apparently facilitated and or arranged the interview with Proctor. Did he have conversations with Katie before he called? Because we know they had made a motion to get Kevin Albert's phone records, right?
Yeah.
We don't know if he ever got them, but it'll be interesting to see if they've had telephone conversations prior to her testimony, prior to her state grand jury, federal grand jury, prior to her giving the statement to Proctor. So it is interesting. Do you want to go through some of these super chats?
Yes.
Can you see them on your end too?
I can't show them. I can see them. I can't show them.
All right, let's see. Do I have to give you like special permission? Okay, let's do this. Noni Lady, thank you for your super chat. And KOB, thanks for your super sticker. And True Crime Kangaroo, Karen Reed's Lexus is at the 34 Fairview without the taillight. I'm shaking. Well, thank you for your super chat. Yeah, they removed the taillight. It's totally gone. How are they going to explain that? Exotic Prairie, thanks for your super chat. I think there's jealousy at play between Karen Reed and McCabe. Karen Reed didn't want to go and didn't like it that John went, in my opinion. I have theorized that as well. And not to mention that Nicole Albert, was it Nicole and Jen that were texting him all night? Like, where are you? Why don't you come down? Why don't you come down to the bar? Or maybe it was Julie Albert.
Julie, yeah. But then in openings, I picked up on this. In openings, Lally said that it was Chris Albert, not Julie Albert, who texted him and told him to come there, which is the first that's ever been mentioned. And everything that has ever been mentioned ever, it has always been that Julie Albert was the one texting him. And even with the timestamps of the times that she was texting him. So that was the first that he's ever said that it was Chris and not Julie.
Very interesting. Shelly says, thanks for the super chat. Auntie Bev needs some refresher courses. Yeah, I think Alan Jackson was trying to teach her the law at that point. Mace, thanks for your super chat. You two woman plays mind-blowing beauty. Oh, thank you. We'll take it.
Thank you.
Be Kind Tiger gifted 10 of your memberships.
Woo, woo. Thank you.
Exotic Prairie, thank you so much for the super chat. Judge like her in the Michelle Troconis trial too. I didn't cover that trial. Did you cover that trial?
Yes, I did.
Similar judge?
Michelle Troconis trial. I liked the judge in the Michelle Troconis trial. He was, he reminded me of Judge Newman because he was very calm and he would explain things. I liked him.
Thank you, Wild Cherry. Does that mean that you don't like, for your super sticker, you don't like Judge Canoni?
I'm not a fan.
Thanks. Thanks, Blessed Mom from Texas for gifting 5 memberships, and to anyone who got the memberships, congratulations and welcome. Lori, thanks for your super chat. God, I'm 60 years old and photos are the only way I can remember anything. Yeah. Pantoufle.
Pantoufle.
Pantoufle. It's more than just lying. It's perjury. Thanks for your super chat.
Yeah. Which is the whole reason that, I mean, impeachment, I guess, is the whole reason they wanted to bring it in. But
Shannon, thanks for your super chat from, I think, Canada. Why is there no jury present? I think I answered that because they were doing a voir dire of that witness to see what she would testify before the judge would agree to let her testify to those things. Mia, thanks for your super chat. Another detective calls what she's doing the booty scoot. So the liar's butt starts to move around. That's great. Sadie Neal, thanks for your super chat. If you're only acquaintances, then you aren't going to say I went to school with someone with that name.
Yeah.
Donna Ashton, thanks for your super chat. So Bodhi Labs in last minute, but these pictures are a no. Yeah, I'm in huge disagreement with that ruling. And again, how long did they withhold that Bodhi Labs evidence for? They didn't turn it over until I think they were already in jury selection, right?
Yeah, with a couple days into jury selection. What's funny too is in that hearing, when Lally was like, well, it hasn't been turned in because of the defense's delays. The defense, confirmed that they weren't going to be able to pay the $21,000 or whatever to have somebody sit in within 2 or 3 weeks. But it sat with them for, a year before anybody touched it. So that was really funny to try to be like, oh yeah, this is the defense's fault that it took so long. Ugh.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I'm not sure what this person's name is because I can't really read it. But thanks for the super chat. Rule 14 sets out the defendant's right to certain mandatory discovery without a motion. And I think it also covers their discovery or exchange obligations as well. Yeah. Lindsay, thanks for your super chat. The cop in this photo with them is Saraf, and he already testified that he never heard I hit him ever. So is that the way he testified?
He said that, yeah, he never heard that. He said that the only thing he heard was it, it changed later to, this is my fault. But he never said anything about I hit him or even did I hit him. His was only, is he dead? And then later on at grand jury, he added, this is my fault.
And that's interesting because Katie McLaughlin says there was an officer present when she said it, but she hasn't been able to identify who that officer is. And they've got the dash cam footage and apparently still photos too of who she was talking to.
Yeah.
So that is yet to be discovered, I think. Nobody's identified who was in that photo. Jenna, thanks for your super chat. Canton cover up part 44. Firefighter who heard Karen Reed say, I hit him is close friends with Caitlyn Albert. Seems that way. Thank you, Suzanne, for gifting 5 memberships. You are so very generous, as always. Kathy Todd, thanks for your super sticker. We appreciate you. On top, thanks for your super sticker. M, thanks for your super sticker. And Dutyron on your channel said, wanted to come over here and support Brandy. 13th juror. Great job, ladies. Thank you very much. Dutyron is one of the best. One of the absolute best. Blessed mom from Texas. Thank you. Says, I'm outraged. Melanie, you look amazing today. Hi, beautiful Brandy. I did gift memberships. Thank you. Blessed mom from
Hey,
Texas.
oh, thank you.
And there's another one for you.
Holly Mack, one of my mods. Thank you, Holly Mack.
Thanks, Jane. Aiden stated the photo of the two girls was on May 30th of 2023. Well, that's interesting because that was not even a year ago.
Ooh. See, if they'd have been allowed to bring that in, then they could show data. But
She
well, she
doesn't
said that
remember.
she said that those looked old.
Did Katie say that
Mm-hmm.
during voir dire, not
Mhm.
during actual testimony?
She
I
said
wonder
that
if
she
you can-
didn't. She said she didn't know when those were because they looked old. They looked old to her. She didn't remember the bathing suit or anything.
Wonder if he can call in another person pictured there to come in and testify when it was taken, who took it, whose Facebook it was on, who posted it.
Yeah.
Casey, thanks for your super chat. Can Bev get in trouble for not being a fair judge? No, there's like judicial immunity and all sorts of things. So I don't see any remedy for this. I mean, it could be an appellate issue. There are things that either side can show should have come in that didn't come in. You know, there are things called things that are considered reversible error. Has anything risen to that level yet? I don't know. I'm not an appellate attorney,
Yeah.
but it remains to be seen. Thanks, Mrs. Bucket. Saber, thanks for your super chat. Boston 10 has a good short video from 13 hours ago that shows the cross and inconsistency from witnesses.
Oh, I'm
Anybody
going to
want-
be on there on Boston 10. I think a week from today. I'm going to be on there.
All right. Well, tell us so we can promote you. Did you already tape it, or is it going to be a live show?
It's going to be a live show. It's going to be recapping some of the stuff that's been going on in the trial and talking about it. So I think it's a week. I have to check I'm pretty sure it's a week from today at 7:00.
That's awesome. Kelly, thanks for your super chat, super sticker. Shannon, can we call the judge? Judge Hufflepuff. I made a special sigh emoji just for her. Paige, thank you. So a Canton firefighter, Katie, doesn't know a Canton cop. Kevin, this is a smaller town, not a big city. Yeah, okay. I agree.
Yeah.
Love a nurse, thank you. It says, love having you both on this case together. Do you think the feds will ever step in? What do you think?
Don't you think that it makes it look more suspicious? Like, okay, if they're not great friends, cool. They don't have to be best friends. But the fact that she's trying to distance herself from it is what's making it look worse. Instead of just being like, yeah, we have mutual friends, so we've been together a few times and pictures were taken. Like, you know, to me, that would be...
not even just her, but trying to distance themselves from the home of Brian Albert initially with even the Canton dispatch records, 32 Fairview. And then Saroff says that he goes to 35 Fairview. So there's already right away from the 911 call.
And the dispatch log is wrong. Log is wrong, and then that next report is wrong. One is 32, one is 35 Fairview, and that first police report they took Brian Albert's phone number out of it, which is a whole nother thing that looks completely, you know.
Right. For those of you who don't know, so the day that Karen was originally brought into court, which I think was February 1st or February 2nd of 2022. They were Mr. Yannetti, who represented her at that time, was handed what they said was the official police report, and he got the police report. And then later on in discovery, they turned over what was supposed to be the same police report, but it had been changed, and it was not called an amended police report. The two things that were changed were the cell phone number for Brian Albert, which was now a totally different phone number, different carrier, and also they attached some photos, right, that were not attached originally. So. Yeah.
And there was an extra paragraph. I think it was Lank that added the extra paragraph about Jen McCabe calling and having, you know, him come back to the house.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's what it is that was added. I can't remember for sure.
MLS got a lot. Thanks for your super chat. Are we dual streaming? We are. I think we're streaming on both channels right now. Yes. Young Black Economist, member for 2 months. All know each other, yet can't identify the guy in the pic. Yep.
Yeah.
Seems that way. There's another gift for you.
Regina Crawford, thank you. Thank you.
Legally Blonde. We went from side bros to side bars.
Side bars. Yeah. We had one of our trials that we covered. They called each other they said bro a million times in the text messages. So we all started calling them side bros. And so now we have side bars.
Sidebars. Maureen, thanks for your super chat. Can the defense being this back in doing defense portion? Bro, bring that in. Bring this back in. Yes, I think they can. I think they can. They may be able to bring some impeachment witnesses in to say, what are you kidding me? These girls are best friends. They talk all the time. All the time. Thanks, Maureen, and thanks for your cash out before the stream too. You're so generous. Kathy McDonald, thanks for your super chat. You two are awesome together. Great perspective. Also, Melanie, what brand is your lipstick? Sorry, I've been wanting to ask you this for a while. Looks great. I don't know what it is today. Today is, this is Fenty Beauty. It's just a lip gloss. Although most of it's off by now. I'm like always with the chapstick during the stream.
I thought mine is this is mine. One of my viewers sent me this because my lips stay chapped, but
I know I have a huge tub of Aquaphor. Like I stopped even buying the small ones because I need a huge tub of it. Lindsay, thanks so much. Why does the judge have to go on the view with them? Does she need to teach the jurors how to ride on a bus too? She's got to be there to make sure nothing improper is said to the jurors. I wonder, does anybody know if any of the media is going on this site view? Because I think they have to stay 100 yards away, which is, you know, the length of a football field. And they're not allowed to film any of the jurors. So
yeah.
No. I don't know. All right. I think we need a break. I know I need a break. So, and I don't know what time they're coming back. So I don't know what you want to do about that. Thanks, Kirsten, for your super chat and for thinking that we have awesome commentary.
Thank you. Thank you. So,
any closing thoughts while we close off this stream?
You know, I am thoroughly impressed by the defense. And I am hoping that even with all of the weirdness with the way that the judge is doing whatever the heck it is she's doing, I hope that they are truly able to really pay attention to the, you know, the stuff that matters and make these connections as they go. This is a long trial, so this is going to be a lot of buildup on look at this connection and this connection and this evidence and this evidence. So I think they're doing a great job of laying it out. I cannot see any possible way of, you know, at this point of, I mean, obviously there's reasonable doubt at, you know, bare minimum. So I'll be hanging on to every word for the next 7 weeks.
I know. This is a crazy one. It's going to be a long time. It's going to be a long time. Yeah, I think we're taking a break. So
yes,
I'm going to end this stream and then I will probably come back and do the afternoon, but we don't even know when that's going to be. So if anybody's going to come back and watch it, just be ready. Just be ready.
Be ready.
I guess we'll be watching and we'll just go live when I'll go live when it goes live.
Yeah.
If you want to come back with me, come on back with me. So you guys, this has been interesting. We'll see you a bit later. And, you know, be cool.
This is fun. We'll do it again. We'll do joint streams again. It's nice to break it up and, you know, instead of doing it alone all the time. So
it is. It's a lot of talking and it's a lot of, that's why we need to go take a break and have some breakfast now, even though it's like lunchtime already.
Yes.
All right, everyone. Thanks to the moderators who are amazing for being so amazing and keeping it classy. And we'll both see you back here later this afternoon. You're going to live stream this afternoon on your channel?
Yes.
Okay.
I will get a stream set up and then just watch for when it comes back.
Yeah, me too. All right, everyone. So we'll both see you later on our individual channels, but this was really fun. And it was great to spend the morning with you, Reddy.
You too.
And we will see all you guys later. So thanks for joining us today and stay safe out there, my friends. Yeah. Bye.